The female emperor overpowered me from the start. This. Where am I? Chuan was utterly confused. Didn't he just fall earlier? Why was he still lying down now? Did he end up in the ICU? But the surroundings didn't look like one. Thinking back to what had just happened, he remembered tripping on the road and falling face first. He had even died from the fall. Was he really that weak? And this was not the ICU. So where was he? Just as he was about to get up, a sudden sharp pain shot through his head. Fragments of memories that didn't belong to him began to surface in his mind. Did I transmigrate? Am I just a useless janitor? From the memories that flooded into his mind, he learned that he had transmigrated into the body of someone who shared his name, Chuan. Their situations were eerily similar, both had no parents, no relatives, and were both considered good-for-nothings. One had worked as a janitor in a big company in his past life, and the other was a lowly janitor in the Yuan palace. Their jobs even had a strange similarity. Impossible, right? Don't transmigrators usually get some benefits? Where's the old man? Where's my cheat? Where's the invincible body that's been sealed away? Looking around at the shabby room, Chuan couldn't help but feel how unlucky he was. His past life wasn't great, but at least he could survive. This place, however, could be dangerous. He waited and waited, but there was no sign of any old man or cheat system. Despair. Complete despair. Chuan, you useless fool, still alive. If you're not dead, get up and sweep the floor. A 300-pound fatty walked in. His arrogant demeanor made Chuan's anger flare up, but then he realized he couldn't possibly beat him, and his anger quickly deflated. Just sweep the floor honestly. He recalled from the original Chuan's memories and went to the place where he had been sweeping earlier. His first impression was, it was huge. The second impression, this place was way too big. It resembled a plaza, but describing it as a football field was more fitting. Yet, this plaza was almost as big as 7 or 8 football fields combined. After a moment of dazedness, he noticed someone else was sweeping ahead. Brother, are you the one cleaning this area? The person immediately exploded with rage and threw his broom at Chuan's feet. You finally came, you idiot. Are you out of your mind? This whole area is yours to clean. Lucky you're still alive, or I'd have to take over this place. Chuan was furious and glared at the person. Why was he looking down on him just because they both cleaned the floors? Who did he think he was to insult him? Oh? You dare glare at me after 2 days? Let's see if you still dare. The person slapped Chuan, and he didn't have time to dodge. He was sent flying several meters back. It was only then that he remembered, this guy had a cultivation level, and he had none. This guy was at least at the first stage of the strengthening bone realm. In this world, the cultivation levels were divided as follows: strengthening bone realm, muscle tempering realm, chi cultivation realm, divine origin realm, unity realm, divine fire realm, soul realm, and then the emperor realm. Chuan had no cultivation talent at all, so he hadn't even reached the strengthening bone realm. Beep. Host has suffered a serious injury, filled with anger. Activating the invincible sign in system. Activating. A mechanical voice rang in his mind. Chuan froze in place and then suddenly realized. Activation successful. Congratulations, host. You have successfully activated the invincible sign in system. This system allows you to sign in once per day. The rewards will be richer the more dangerous and mysterious the location. Currently, their host is in the Yuan Palace Plaza. Do you want to sign in? It's here. My cheat has finally arrived. Sign in. Chuan couldn't wait. Beep. Successful sign in at Yuan Palace Plaza. As it's your first sign in, you receive a 100x reward. Congratulations, host, you have gained the strongest physique of all worlds, the super god body. Chuan's breath became rapid. Did he just hear that correctly? The strongest physique of all worlds. Although the name sounded a bit strange, with such a powerful physique backing him up, nothing seemed that odd anymore. He might not have had any cultivation before, but he knew that strong physiques were a big deal in this world. But the strongest physique is truly unique. People with these special physiques naturally have faster cultivation speeds and far stronger combat abilities compared to others at the same level. Now that he possessed the strongest physique and, more importantly, had the sign-in system, becoming invincible was just a matter of time. Host, would you like to fuse with the super god body? Hearing the system's voice in his mind, Chuan didn't hesitate for a second. Fuse. Immediately, an ancient aura began to emanate from Chuan's body. His muscles started to swell, and even his height increased by a few centimeters. The man who had slapped him earlier was now stunned by the scene in front of him. You. Shut up. Never seen a handsome guy before. Get lost. After merging with the super god body, Chuan was brimming with confidence. Although he still had no cultivation, this small first stage of the strengthening bone realm was no longer a match for him. With a single slap, he sent the man flying even farther than before, knocking him out cold. As Chuan reveled in his newfound strength, he was surprised by how powerful his physical body had become right after merging with the super god body. While still lost in his own thoughts, a breeze swept past him, and a woman appeared before him. She was an incredibly beautiful woman, the most beautiful he had ever seen, without question. With a perfect face and an aura that seemed to look down on everything, she was more stunning than any celestial being described in legends. What is your name? The breathtaking woman asked directly. Me? Chuan looked around and realized he was the only one present. My name is Chuan. Come with me. The woman grabbed his hand and flew away instantly. Hey, wait a minute, what is going on? Chuan panicked. The woman seemed so powerful, and he had no ability to resist. Like a chick being carried by its mother, Chuan was taken to a palace. Where is this? A sacred temple. Just as he tried to figure out which palace this was, he looked up and saw the words Sacred Temple. Where was this? This was the residence of the Shenyuan Palace's master. Oh no. Just when he was about to embark on his invincible journey, it seemed like it might end halfway. Come up. Chuan looked up and saw the beautiful woman calling him. The seat she was referring to was none other than the throne of the palace master. Was she the palace master? He had heard that the palace master of Shenyuan Palace was a woman, known as the Heavenly Fire Empress. Facing such a person with no power to resist, he had no choice but to helplessly walk up. Take it off. Huh? Take it off. Chuan doubted he had heard it right. There had been rumors that the Heavenly Fire Empress hated men the most. If he had to take it off, wouldn't he be roasted alive like skewered meat? Millimeter. After the Heavenly Fire Empress spoke, a faint blush suddenly appeared on her face. Chuan, cautiously moving, was too slow, and the Heavenly Fire Empress simply lit a flame. In an instant, Chuan found himself as vulnerable as a little bald lamb, at her mercy. The Empress then began to slowly remove her imperial robes, revealing a flawless, goddess-like body that would drive all men mad. Don't look. Her face reddened even more, and with a swift motion, she pushed Chuan down. Chuan was completely shocked. He had just been overpowered by the Empress. Chapter 2, 20 Years of Cultivation, the Strangest Familiar Person. 2 hours later, the Empress had put on her imperial robes once again, returning to her previous cold and aloof demeanor. Rest well. From now on, stay in this sacred temple, she said, tossing him a robe before disappearing into the temple. Chuan propped himself up with his hand on his waist, still not understanding the situation. Could it be because I'm just too handsome? Did the Empress take a liking to me? He stood in front of a mirror, admiring his perfect body, 8 abs, a physique as flawless as an ancient Greek sculpture. More importantly, his face, which was already handsome, now had a touch of manliness after merging with the super god body. Truly handsome. Chuan couldn't help but praise himself while touching his face. Afterward, he returned to the bed, where a brilliant, fiery red stain stood out starkly. This was the Empress, a virgin. He hadn't expected the Empress to be so experienced. She hadn't seemed inexperienced at all. Luckily, she wasn't here right now, or his life might be in danger. Wait. Let us see if I can cultivate. He was about to start cultivating when he realized he didn't have any cultivation techniques. At that moment, the Empress reappeared in the sacred temple. Seeing Chuan, she tossed him a cultivation manual. This is the Shenyuan Classic, the foundation of Shenyuan Palace. Take it and start cultivating. However, as soon as she saw the red stain on the bed, her expression turned unnatural. Without a word, she swept the bedspread away. Mu Qingyang, the Heavenly Fire Empress, felt a bit puzzled. She had actually gained some improvement in her cultivation. She vanished again from the sacred temple, leaving a parting message: cultivate well. I hope you can break through to the strengthening bone realm by tomorrow. Chuan had naturally noticed the change in her expression earlier. It had been quite cute. She's always so serious, she'd look so much better if she smiled. Chuan muttered to himself quietly, worried she might hear. After all, the Empress was at the Emperor realm, the peak of this continent's combat strength. Actually, the Empress had intended to return to take the bedspread, but when she saw that Chuan wanted to cultivate but didn't have any techniques, she casually tossed him the Shenyuan Classic while she took the bedspread. The Shenyuan Classic. Shenyuan, the root of all foundations, Yuan, where all beings are equal. Chuan didn't feel any of the mystical sensation he had expected. Isn't this just memoizing a passage? He couldn't help but feel speechless, having read it for so long without feeling anything. Could it be that he wasn't suited for cultivation at all? But then he remembered he had the system, so it probably wouldn't be a problem. Forget it, I'll wait until tomorrow's sign in. He lay down on the bed, deciding to sleep first. Tomorrow, he would wake up full of energy, ready for another day. Having no cultivation level to speak of, Chuan was already feeling drowsy. After all, he had just gone through 2 hours of intense battle, and with someone at the Emperor realm, the fight had been incredibly intense. When he woke up again, the sun was already high in the sky. Did I really sleep that long? Rubbing his eyes, he noticed that the Empress wasn't in the sacred temple anymore. System, sign in. Host is currently in the Shenyuan Palace Sacred Temple. Confirm sign in. Beep. Congratulations, host, you have gained 20 years of cultivation. Would you like to fuse? Chuan was overjoyed. Just when he needed it, the system gave him exactly what he was missing. 20 years of cultivation would definitely improve his strength. Fuse. Beep. Fusing 20 years of cultivation. Congratulations, host. You have reached the first stage of the strengthening bone realm. Congratulations, host. You have reached the second stage of the strengthening bone realm. Congratulations, host, for advancing to the second stage of the bone forging realm. Feeling the overwhelming power surging through his body, Chuan was amazed at how strong he felt. He never expected that he would directly advance to the bone forging realm, breaking through an entire major realm in one go. He couldn't help but marvel at the system's capabilities. The exhaustion from yesterday had completely vanished, and now his body was filled with energy. He could easily go on fighting for several more hours if needed. I can't just stay in the sacred temple, can I? If I keep signing in at the same place, won't the rewards get worse over time? Chuan muttered to himself. Beep. The host is very clever, and has guessed correctly. The sudden voice of the system startled Chuan, but it confirmed his suspicions. It seemed that he couldn't keep signing in at the sacred temple forever. He left the temple, intending to return to his old straw hut to pack up his belongings. After all, the Empress had said he should stay in the sacred temple from now on, so he wouldn't be living in that hut anymore. Upon reaching the small hut, Chuan saw 2 disciples standing outside. The 2 disciples spotted him, and one of them began yelling, Chuan. You useless bastard, you've finally returned. We've been looking for you all day. How dare you take a break? Go clean the place up now. 2 puny 5th stage bone forging guys think they can boss me around. Get lost. Having just broken through to the bone forging realm, Chuan didn't take these 2 low-ranking disciples seriously. Since he was stronger than them, he didn't hold back. He had been bullied for so long that he was ready to teach these brainless lackeys a lesson. Oh, Chuan, you're getting bold now, huh? Looks like your skin is a bit itchy today. One of the disciples kicked at Chuan. Chuan didn't step back instead, he moved forward and threw a punch. The 5th stage of bone forging was no match for him, especially since he had the super god body. The disciple was sent flying, vomiting blood as he crashed several meters away. Chuan, when did you become so strong? The other disciple, who hadn't attacked, looked terrified. HMPH, do I need to tell you? Now, you can lie down too. With that, Chuan dashed in front of the second disciple and slapped him, sending him crashing to the ground. The ground cracked, and the disciple fainted on the spot. After dusting off his hands, Chuan entered the hut and began packing up. Singing a little tune. 56 ethnic groups, 56 flowers, 56 brothers and sisters are one family. He packed up the important items and prepared to head back to the sacred temple. Meanwhile, in the sacred temple, the empress stood at the center, sensing the change in Yun Chuan's cultivation. He broke through. Her red lips parted slightly. She had gone out to learn more about Yun Chuan's background. She found that Yun Chuan had no talent for cultivation. After joining the Shenyuan palace, he was just a cleaning disciple, kind-hearted but constantly bullied. He was essentially a waste in everyone's eyes. But if that was true, why had he broken through in just one night? What she didn't know was that the breakthrough had only taken an hour, and he had jumped through more than 10 realms, advancing all the way to the bone-forging realm. With this question in mind, the empress left the sacred temple once again, heading somewhere unknown. No sooner had she left than Yun Chuan entered the sacred temple. The two of them missed each other perfectly. The moment Yun Chuan stepped into the sacred temple, a refreshing scent filled his nostrils. Has the empress been here? This scent was so familiar to him. It was the empress's fragrance. After all, they were the most familiar strangers now, and this scent was deeply etched in his memory. Where should I go to sign in tomorrow? Not wanting to think about this any longer, Yun Chuan decided to focus on improving his strength. It was the most important thing for now. This place will do. The Shenyuan Secret Realm. Chapter 3, The Empress's Husband, Living Off Her. Yun Chuan couldn't understand why he couldn't cultivate the Shenyuan scriptures. There was no way. He had absolutely no talent for cultivation, right? He stared at the scriptures for a long time, but couldn't make sense of anything. What did all this talk about Shen and Yuan even mean? How did it relate to cultivation? He decided to stop thinking about it and see what else he could do. Yun Chuan walked into the empress's room. He had never really had the chance to appreciate it before. To be honest, the only word to describe the room was luxurious. He picked up a pot of water and began watering the flowers and loosening the soil. However, he was taken aback to find that the sacred temple had an unexpected hidden world. There was a large gate at the front, but the back led to a beautiful garden. Who are you? Entering the empress's private garden is a death sentence. A beautiful maid appeared, holding a long spear and pointing it at Yun Chuan. Oh, the empress told me to stay here. Yun Chuan observed the maid, unsure of her cultivation level. But one thing was certain: he was no match for her. The empress? Impossible. The empress would never allow a man into her private garden. Thief! Die! Without waiting for Yun Chuan to explain, the maid lunged at him with the spear. Wait! I'm really here on the empress's orders. You can ask her. Yun Chuan almost wanted to cry. What kind of person was this? Why was everyone so quick to threaten death? And, of course, he wasn't even strong enough to fight back. The maid didn't respond. After all, if he were truly sent by the empress, killing him would cause trouble. So instead, the maid took out a steel rope and bound Yun Chuan tightly. Yun Chuan didn't resist. He figured that once the empress came, he would be saved. Miss? What's your name? What do you do in this garden? Yun Chuan asked, trying to strike up a conversation. But the maid remained silent and awkward. What did I do to deserve this? Fine, if you don't want to talk, I won't either. Yun Chuan cursed the maid in his heart over and over. After a while, he fell asleep again. After all, he had been waiting for so long. Empress! You're here! The maid's voice suddenly woke Yun Chuan. He opened his eyes to see the empress standing in front of him. She still had the same cold, aloof expression, radiating an air of superiority as though she ruled the world. System, are you there? Can you hide my cultivation level and lower it to the bone-forging realm? Ding! The all-powerful system can do that. Their host's cultivation level has been hidden and set to the second stage of the bone-forging realm. Yun Chuan breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing the system's response. If the empress found out that he had reached the second stage of the bone-forging realm, it would definitely be shocking. The second stage of bone-forging. The empress was surprised, then looked at Yun Chuan. Her dazzling eyes seemed like they were trying to see through him. Don't see me! Don't see me! Don't see me! Yun Chuan kept silently chanting in his mind, hoping the system would work its magic. He was just at the second stage of bone forging, wasn't he? The empress asked. Huh? No. He wasn't he. The maid looked at Chuan again, scanning him thoroughly. Sure enough, he was at the second stage of bone forging. Her own cultivation level was in the divine fire realm. How could she have made such a mistake? At this point, Chuan spoke up. Hey, Empress, could you please have her untie me? Lianzhu, untie him. He is indeed the one I called here. The Empress paused for a moment before speaking. Though she didn't say anything, Lianzhu hesitated for a moment before untying Chuan. But in her heart, waves of doubt and confusion surged. The Empress had always despised men, so why would she allow one into her private garden, especially one so weak? You're coming with me. The Empress pointed at Chuan and walked out of the garden, heading back to the sacred temple. Chuan followed behind her, eager to keep up. Once they arrived in the Empress's bedroom, she sat on the bed where Chuan had fought earlier and said calmly, "Have you been cultivating the Shenyuan scriptures?" "Yeah," Chuan answered instinctively. But then he realized he might have said the wrong thing. "Yeah? Then why do you have no aura from the Shenyuan scriptures?" The Empress squinted at him, as if she had already seen through him. "Oh, well, I did cultivate it, but I didn't fully comprehend it. I just broke through directly. I broke through to the bone forging realm, so I didn't really need a technique, right?" Chuan quickly tried to explain himself. After all, this was the Empress, a top-tier powerhouse who could crush him with a single slap. The Empress thought for a while. His explanation made sense. Many people at the bone forging realm didn't cultivate any techniques because their comprehension was too weak, and training would be a waste of time. "Empress? I wanted to ask about yesterday." Before Chuan could finish, the Empress interrupted him coldly. "Shut up. Don't bring it up again, or you won't need to exist in this world anymore." Chuan immediately lowered his head and covered his mouth. He was in a terrible situation. If the Empress wanted to kill him, where could he go for justice? But as he bowed his head, he didn't see the faint blush creeping onto the Empress's face, along with a hint of shyness. "A week from now, you will attend the Shenyuan palace ceremony with me. I will announce that you are my husband." The Empress resumed her cold demeanor and spoke with authority. Okay. What? Husband? At first, Chuan didn't quite catch it. But when he heard the second time, he was completely stunned. The Empress's husband. Wouldn't he be exploited to death? Of course, he meant in terms of cultivation pressure, not in any other way. Wouldn't he be a husband with no say? If that is the case, he wouldn't be a husband at all, he'd be a grandfather. Though the Empress was beautiful, more beautiful than any woman he had ever seen, he felt unworthy of her. Looking at this situation, it was clear he was just a shield. "That doesn't seem right, Empress. I'm weak, and I don't." Before he could finish, the Empress interrupted again. "That's enough, you don't need to say anything more. Just focus on your cultivation. The Shenyuan secret realm will be open to you. Just let me know when you're ready." It seemed that protesting was useless. Besides, he was planning to head to the Shenyuan secret realm tomorrow anyway. "I'll take my time and get stronger. One day, I'll definitely conquer you. The more proud you are, the more excited I'll be." He muttered silently in his heart, though his words were entirely different. "All right, I'll be going to the Shenyuan secret realm tomorrow." The Empress nodded, then waved her hand, disappearing from the room. Phew, she has finally gone. Once the Empress left, Chuan let out a sigh of relief. The pressure had been overwhelming. He walked back to the garden, humming a tune as he admired the flowers and plants the Empress had cultivated. Today is such a beautiful day, everything looks so great. Lianzhu could only grit her teeth and watch him, not daring to make another move. "Not bad, this soft rice actually tastes pretty good." Looking at Lianzhu's expression, Chuan's dissatisfaction vanished in an instant. Chapter 4, Super Divine Level Comprehension, Absorbing Frenetically. By now, he was officially a cultivator, so staying awake all night didn't make him feel tired. The whole night, Chuan had been studying the Shenyuan Sutra, but as expected, the result was the same as before: no breakthrough, no insight. He couldn't even comprehend a single thing from the text. But at least he practically memorized the entire sutra. "Never mind, let's check in first." He stood up and made his way toward the Shenyuan secret realm. Right now, signing in was the only way to increase his strength. After all, given the current situation, it seemed like he had no talent for cultivation. Upon arriving at the entrance of the Shen Yuan's secret realm, 2 words could describe it: majestic. Yun Chuan had passed by here countless times before but had never had the qualifications to enter. Now, however, he, a transmigrator, had gained access. Who are you? A guard blocked his path. Yun Chuan didn't waste any time. He immediately took out the palace master's token, which the empress had given him the day before, saying he could use it to enter the Shen Yuan secret realm whenever he wished. Seeing the token, the guard immediately let Yun Chuan pass. The palace master's token was something only the empress held. It was unheard of for her to give it to anyone else. As Yun Chuan entered the secret realm, a system prompt appeared. Ding! Host has entered the sacred Shen Yuan secret realm. Would you like to check in? Sacred? Confirm check-in. Yun Chuan responded, though he didn't fully understand what sacred meant, but since it was a system prompt, it had to be something good. Ding! Congratulations to their host for obtaining super divine level comprehension ability. You can instantly master anything in the world. Would you like to fuse it? This was like a winter coat being delivered in the middle of a snowstorm, just what he needed. He had no cultivation talent at all right now, and this was exactly what he needed. Fuse. Yun Chuan mentally agreed. The next moment, he suddenly felt his head become lighter. Everything around him slowed down, and his thoughts became crystal clear. This is super divine level comprehension. Yun Chuan marveled. The rewards from this check-in were incredibly powerful. In an instant, the Shen Yuan Sutra's words and phrases flooded his mind. He had already memorized the sutra by heart, but now it was more than that. He could feel the essence of it, and it was no longer just text, it was something he could grasp deeply. Shen is the root of all things. Yuan is the equality of all beings. Enter the emperor with Shen and return to unity with Yuan. So this is the Shen Yuan Sutra. Truly mysterious. Yun Chuan thought to himself. In just a few breaths, he had comprehended the basics of the sutra, entering the entry-level stage. This super divine level comprehension ability was incredibly powerful. The whole night before, he had been reading the sutra with no progress, but now just thinking about it for a moment had brought him to the threshold of understanding. However, Yun Chuan wasn't in a rush to cultivate the sutra yet. The secret realm offered 10 times the cultivation speed compared to the outside world. In here, a day of training equaled 10 days of training outside. Moreover, the spiritual energy here was much purer than outside, which meant that his foundation would be more solid. But there was a catch: except for the Empress, no one else could remain in the secret realm for long. One had to have enough talent and strength to gain access, and only after advancing one major realm could a person enter and cultivate for a week. A week might seem like a short time, but the pure spiritual energy absorbed here was something no one outside could compare to. The most important benefit wasn't the increased speed of cultivation, but the ability to absorb this pure spiritual power. Now, with his super divine level comprehension ability and his super divine body, Yun Chuan's speed of absorbing spiritual energy was unmatched. It was like a black hole was formed around him, greedily and wildly absorbing the spiritual energy. Millimeter? What's going on? A man dressed in black inside the secret realm had a puzzled expression. Why did it feel like all the spiritual energy around him was being sucked away? Is there something wrong with the secret realm? The man wondered, but didn't think much of it. It wasn't just him. Everyone else in the secret realm, except Yun Chuan, felt the same way. However, no one paid it much attention, thinking it was just a problem with the secret realm that would fix itself after a while. This strange phenomenon lasted the entire day. Yun Chuan had already broken through from the 2nd level of bone refining to the 9th level. Meanwhile, other disciples in the secret realm were starting to realize that the spiritual energy they had been gathering seemed to be getting sucked away. The guards noticed the problem too, but didn't know how to solve it, so they reported it to the Empress. Of course, Yun Chuan, who was absorbed in absorbing spiritual energy, hadn't noticed the commotion he was causing. The Empress arrived in person, and many disciples who had never seen her before were completely captivated by her beauty and aura. Strength, talent, appearance, status. She was a woman who embodied all the advantages in the world. What's going on? The Empress asked coldly, her words like an icy gust of wind. That was just her nature. Yun Chuan had also been curious at first about why she was called the Empress of Heavenly Fire when she was so cold, but now he realized it suited her perfectly. Reporting to the Empress, it seems something's wrong with the secret realm. The spiritual energy that the disciples are gathering seems to have been completely sucked away, a guard quickly reported, fearing that the Empress would strike him down with a single slap. The Empress narrowed her eyes. Her icy gaze swept across the secret realm, and then her pupils suddenly widened. How is this possible? It's him? The Empress had seen Chuan cultivating and couldn't believe it. This strange phenomenon was caused by him? She withdrew her gaze, coldly saying, "It's fine. It'll be over in a couple of days." After that, she turned and left the entrance to the secret realm. The tense atmosphere around the disciples finally loosened. Since the Empress said it was fine, what could they do? They couldn't enter the secret realm to cultivate anymore anyway. Inside the secret realm, Chuan opened his eyes, took a deep breath, and muttered, "Finally broke through." He had finally broken through to the Qi cultivation realm, and the Shen Yuan Sutra had reached a proficient level. In this world, cultivation techniques and martial arts were ranked by 5 levels: Emperor, Saint, Heaven, Earth, and Mortal, with Emperor being the highest and Mortal being the lowest. Each level had 5 sub-levels: Entry, Middle, Late, Perfection, and Extreme. Time to keep cultivating. Now he needed to quickly increase his strength, or how could he possibly conquer the Empress? He spent the next 3 days cultivating non-stop. After 3 days, his realm had reached the 9th level of Qi cultivation, and the Shen Yuan Sutra had reached the perfection stage. The rewards from the last 3 days of Sign Ins weren't as powerful as the super divine level comprehension ability, but they were still decent. A god hiding cloak to conceal his movements, an earth grade weapon, the Ling Kong sword sky cleaving sword, with a weapon rank from heaven to saint level, and a Shen Yuan pill, which would allow him to break through directly to the Shen Yuan realm if consumed after reaching the 9th level of Qi cultivation. But for now, he wasn't in a rush to use it. He wanted to learn some martial arts techniques first. He couldn't just have a strong cultivation level without any actual combat ability. When he reached the exit of the secret realm, the guard outside stared at him in disbelief. "You didn't leave the secret realm?" the guard asked. "Huh? Didn't I just come out?" Chuan was puzzled and didn't understand what the guard was talking about. Seeing the guard still standing there confused, he didn't care. With a swagger, he left the secret realm. This guard is kind of slow, Chuan thought to himself. Martial arts pavilion, perfect. I haven't checked in yet today, so I'll do it here. Just as he stepped into the martial arts pavilion, an elder blocked his way. Chapter 5: Fusion of Sword Heart, Empress Suspicion. "Young man, you need to be in the muscle reinforcement realm to enter the martial arts pavilion." The old man drank a pot of wine while sweeping the martial arts books around with a duster. Chuan didn't say anything, and instantly burst into a muscle reinforcement realm of the 4th level. "Go in, you can only be in the 1st level, you can't withstand the pressure of the 2nd level." "Thank you, senior." Chuan bowed to the old man. The old man didn't look at Chuan from beginning to end. As soon as he stepped in, a pressure came for the first time, and the pressure of the muscle reinforcement realm came to his face. "No wonder I can't go to the 2nd level." Chuan whispered softly. It seems that the pressure of the 2nd level should be the pressure of the Qi training realm. However, he only showed the muscle reinforcement realm. Now he is in the 9th level of Qi training, and it is estimated that he can also enter the 3rd level. The martial arts of the 1st level are almost all ordinary level, which is too small for him to improve, so he skipped it and entered the 2nd level. The turbid eyes of the old man who was drinking downstairs suddenly brightened for a moment, but it was only a moment. "Go to the 2nd floor." the old man who was drinking said to himself. But he didn't care about anything else. It was your ability to go up, but he had advised before that he couldn't blame him if he got hurt. When he came to the 2nd floor, it was almost all earth-level martial arts, and ordinary martial arts were naturally incomparable. Sword drawing? This is okay. He picked up a earth-level martial arts and took a look. A little man appeared in his mind, holding a long sword, slashing at a speed invisible to the naked eye, and then perfectly retracted the sword. Is this the sword drawing? It's so sharp. Just a glance, this sword drawing has already entered the door. This is the horror of super god level comprehension. System, sign in. Ding, host, are you sure to sign in at the martial arts pavilion? Confirm to sign in. Ding, sign in successfully. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the sword heart. Do you want to merge? Fusion. He naturally knew Genshin. This world was called Penglai. There was a force called Jianga, and the master of Jianga was a sword genius with Genshin. Now he was in the Emperor realm, known as the Qingshan Sword Emperor. One of the top powerhouses. At the moment when Genshin merged, the swords of the entire Shenyuan palace began to tremble slightly, which was a sign of submission. And the old man who was drinking and guarding the martial arts pavilion also had a bamboo sword on his waist, which also began to tremble slightly. The old man's dead wood-like hand gently brushed the hilt, and the bamboo sword stopped trembling. Is this Genshin? The kid upstairs. The old man's turbid eyes became clear again, but this time they did not become turbid again. Collect. Chuan also realized that the strange phenomenon he had just caused seemed a bit big. Without stopping for long, he stepped into the third floor. A fierce pressure came, but he still held on. It's a bit fierce, but I can bear it. Chuan muttered while looking for the martial arts he needed. The third level martial arts are all heaven level martial arts, so the strength is several times stronger than the second level earth level martial arts. However, he estimated that he could not go any higher, and the fourth level was a combination of the holy level and the heaven level. As for the fifth level, there is no such thing. The techniques or martial arts of the emperor level are all in the hands of the empress. Turbulent palm. God-destroying slash. Immovable king seal. He found 3 martial arts books, 2 for killing and 1 for defense, which is almost what he needs at the moment. After a few glances, he naturally got into it. If he looked at it a few more times, it would be disrespectful to the super god level comprehension. Senior, I have found the martial arts I need, so I will leave first. Chuan looked at the old man and said in a sonorous and powerful voice. Wait, young man, do you have a sword heart? Now the old man's eyes are no longer cloudy, but extremely clear, staring at Chuan. I realized it accidentally. It seems that the fluctuation of the fusion of the sword heart just now was too big and was discovered. In this case, there is no need to hide it. Are you willing to be my last disciple? Hearing the answer he wanted, the old man immediately spoke and stated his purpose. Chuan was a little entangled. He was about to become the husband of the empress. This backer would probably be popular for a lifetime, but this old man didn't look weak either. Senior, I already have a master. Chuan just found a reason. The system can be regarded as his master. Whatever he wants, he will give it to him. System, well, the boy is teachable. I see, then I won't take away what others love. If you need anything, you can come to this martial arts pavilion to ask me. I won't give my old bones away. The old man's eyes were cloudy again, and then he smiled faintly and waved his hand. Thank you for your kindness, Senior. If I need anything, I will definitely ask for your advice. Chuan bowed and left the martial arts pavilion. The old man drank and said to himself, young people are formidable, young people are formidable. Har har har. Chuan walked on the road, preparing to go back to the temple. He didn't know what the empress was doing. This was his future wife. But there are always some blind and brainless villains. Chuan. You useless guy, what are you doing? I haven't seen you sweeping the floor for a long time. Believe it or not, I will expel you from Shenyuan Palace. An old woman who weighed more than 200 pounds and looked like a spinning top pulled Chuan and started to curse. Expel me from Shenyuan Palace. Chuan couldn't help laughing. The old woman saw that he dared to treat her in this way, and she opened her mouth and showed her yellow teeth and started to curse. You are a piece of trash, how dare you talk to me like this? Although the old woman was not strong, her son was also a genius in Shenyuan Palace. Now he has reached the Shenyuan realm. It was because of her son that she got such a position to manage the sweeping disciples. Stay away from me. You have a foul mouth. Chuan pinched his nose and showed a contemptuous expression. Then he did not stay and walked away quickly. It was a waste of time to stay. Asshole. Chuan, wait for me, how dare you say that to me? Chuan, who was far away from the square, still heard the old woman scolding. He didn't care about such a small character now. What's the use of your son being a genius? I am the husband of the empress. This soft rice is so delicious. Back to the temple, I didn't expect the empress to be here too. It seemed like she was waiting for him. The empress was still stunningly beautiful today, with two curved eyebrows that seemed to be frowning but not frowning, and a pair of eyes that seemed to be happy but not happy. The Empress looked at Chuan with her beautiful eyes, hesitated for a moment and said, "Did you cause the changes in the secret realm?" The voice was not as cold as before, but a little soft and sticky. What changes?" Chuan was a little confused. "Has the secret realm changed?" Seeing that Chuan didn't say anything, she didn't ask any more. However, Chuan really didn't know what changes had taken place in the secret realm. He thought it was normal for him to absorb so much spiritual energy. What changes could there be? Well, it's okay. I'm in the 6th level of the bone realm. Feeling Chuan's current realm, she couldn't understand why Chuan was called a waste before. "Wife, if I tell you that I'm still in the 9th level of Qi training, you'll be scared to death." Chuan was secretly proud in his heart, but he only dared to think so in his heart. "But think about it, you still don't know the Empress's name now?" Ask. Chapter 6. Everyone was shocked at the ceremony. Chuan just stared at the Empress, and the Empress also looked at him. My name is Mu Qingyang." Before Chuan finished speaking, the Empress told him what he wanted to know. Chuan was also a little strange. Why did the Empress always know what he wanted to ask? Is this the legendary telepathy between husband and wife? But this name really suits her, with both beauty and coldness. You should also prepare yourself. There is still one day before the Shenyuan Palace ceremony. You should also be mentally prepared. Mu Qingyang took off her imperial robe while speaking, and there was a short inner layer inside. She took off her bun and her hair fell down. This scene was too beautiful in Chuan's eyes, like a picture of a peerless lady, with an unprecedented posture. He stayed where he was after watching it. "Okay, stop looking. I'll take a break today too." Mu Qingyang turned her head and said with a red face. "Oh, you're resting here too?" Mu Qingyang woke him up, and he immediately reacted. "But is she resting here today too? Isn't that right? Don't think too much, I'll sleep on the bed, you'll sleep on the floor." Mu Qingyang looked at Chuan's somewhat mean face, and instantly recalled what happened on the first day she met Chuan. He must be thinking about these things with that expression, and the bed she's sleeping on now is also. But it doesn't smell good, it looks like Chuan has changed it. That can't be helped, Mu Qingyang is so strong, I can't force myself to sleep on the bed, I'm afraid I won't see the sun tomorrow. No words all night. Although the two said they wanted to have a good rest, only Chuan slept all night, and Mu Qingyang didn't close her eyes all night. When Chuan opened his eyes again, Mu Qingyang had already dressed up, and her face was still so perfect. What a beautiful lady. Let's go. The ceremony has begun. Seeing Chuan get up, Mu Qingyang also said slowly. Chuan nodded, packed up a little and followed. After all, with his face, even if he didn't pack up, there would be few people more handsome than him. Mu Qingyang entered the Shenyuan hall first, and Chuan waited for Mu Qingyang to make an announcement below. All the disciples and elders gathered together. "Ding, their host is in the Shenyuan hall, do you choose to sign in?" "Oh. You can also sign in here, I almost forgot." "Confirm sign in." "Ding, sign in successfully, congratulations to their host for obtaining the magical skill Wanjian Guizong." Wanjian Guizong. In his previous life, he had read many martial arts novels, and Wanjian Guizong has always been the most powerful sword skill. Of course, he is not unfamiliar with this. "The queen is here. Here, come, stand up." Several disciples around him began to discuss, and then stopped talking. Then, the Queen Mu Qingyang, who attracted everyone's attention, stood on the highest point of the Shenyuan hall. "Next, I want to announce something. This emperor will get married in 2 months." Mu Qingyang's words were irrigated with spiritual energy, and everyone in Shenyuan Palace could hear them. "What? Is the empress married? Who is it?" "That emperor. It may be the Qingshan Sword Emperor of the Sword Pavilion. It is said that Qingshan Sword Emperor said 30 years ago that he would not marry anyone other than the empress in this life." The disciples and elders were extremely shocked. They did not expect that the announcement in the hall today would be so explosive. In their eyes, no one could be worthy of the empress. The only one who could barely be worthy was the Sword Emperor, who was as powerful as the empress. That person is a disciple of the Holy Land, Chuan. As soon as these words came out, the disciples and elders were even more shocked. Collective shock. Many of them knew Chuan. He was not famous for his strong talent and strength, but because Yunchuan was a waste. As long as everyone in Shenyuan Palace knew Yunchuan, they knew that he was a waste who could not practice. The husband of the empress turned out to be him. All the disciples around Yunchuan who knew him cast hateful eyes at him. It's over, I knew I was going to attract hatred. He felt helpless, and Mu Qingyan's words directly dragged him into the deep water and fire. Okay, this is what I want to announce at today's ceremony. After saying that, Mu Qingyan walked down the hall. In fact, it was quite shameful to say these words just now, but she was forced to show her majesty as the empress, so she endured it. Everyone watched the empress leave, and looked at Yunchuan's position again, but found that he was gone. Damn it, if not now, when will he run away? Yunchuan, who was wearing a hidden cloak and hiding his breath, had already escaped, and was now at the door of the temple. Huh, finally ran away. Just as he breathed a sigh of relief, a crisp and very pleasant voice came from behind him. Why are you running so fast? No one is chasing you. It turned out to be Mu Qingyang, fortunately. Big sister, after you made your announcement, didn't those people look at me with eyes that wanted to kill me? Yunchuan explained for a while, still panting. Puff. Mu Qingyan's originally cold face suddenly broke into a smile. This smile moved the world, and everything in the world was a supporting role. This smile was as pure and flawless as a lotus emerging from clear water, without the slightest flaw. It was beautiful, so beautiful that all the words in the world that describe beauty are not enough to describe this smile. So beautiful. Yunchuan said subconsciously. Mu Qingyang also realized what happened at this moment. She had just smiled at Yunchuan. As the empress, her strength and even her appearance were at the top of the pyramid in this Penglai area. She instantly retracted her smile and returned to her previous cold expression. Smile more, it's healthier and more likable. Yunchuan couldn't help but say that although Mu Qingyang looked pretty cold, she looked like a real fairy when she smiled. Don't bother me. Mu Qingyang walked into the temple after saying that. Mu Qingyan's face was obviously a little unnatural, and she even looked a little bit spoiled when she said that. Seeing this scene, I didn't expect Mu Qingyang to have such a lovely side. However, Yunchuan didn't follow her into the temple, but went directly to the Shenyuan secret realm. The Shenyuan pill that was signed in by the system before can now be swallowed. When he came to the entrance of the secret realm and took out the Empress token, the guards naturally let him in. However, the Empress who returned to the temple also found that Yunchuan didn't come in. I was going to give you a pill for cultivation, Mu Qingyang was obviously a little angry when she didn't see Yunchuan. Yunchuan, who was now cultivating in the secret realm, naturally didn't know Mu Qingyang's current mood. He took out the Shenyuan pill and swallowed it in one gulp. A fierce breath burst out instantly, but was suppressed by Yunchuan in an instant. All the energy contained in the pill had been absorbed by him. It was as if a switch was turned on in his body, and he naturally broke through to the Shenyuan realm. Finally broke through, Shenyuan Codex, operate. After the breakthrough, he did not stop and continued to absorb spiritual energy. It is really good to practice in the secret realm. Chapter 7, Extraterritorial Battlefield, Blood Demon Sect. What I need now is steady development. Fortunately, Mu Qingyang didn't find anything. I am still a strong man now. The cultivation of the divine Yuan realm, the super divine body, the super divine comprehension, and a group of powerful martial arts. After a night, the whole secret realm was still full of strange phenomena. Sign in. Ding, congratulations to the host for successfully signing in the miraculous Shenyuan secret realm and obtaining 50 years of cultivation. Do you want to merge? Merge, suppress the fluctuations during the breakthrough. Yunchuan was shocked. He didn't expect that after signing in so many times in the Shenyuan secret realm, there would still be such a good thing as 50 years of cultivation. The second level of the divine Yuan realm. The third level of the divine Yuan realm. The ninth level of the divine Yuan realm. The first level of the return to one realm. It lasted until the fifth level of the return to one realm before stopping. I didn't expect to improve so much all of a sudden. At this rate, I will probably be able to break through to the Emperor realm in less than a year. Yunchuan didn't expect that these 50 years of cultivation would allow him to break through to the fifth level of the return to one realm. In a good mood, he was ready to go back to the temple to water the flowers. And his apparent realm was only the first level of the tendon realm in the eyes of others. When he returned to the temple, He didn't expect that there were dozens of disciples standing outside the temple. Chuan, what qualifications do you have to be the husband of the empress? As soon as he walked to the door of the temple, Chuan heard someone shouting. A disciple of the third level of the divine origin realm is considered a relatively strong disciple in the Shenyuan palace. However, when he was in the ninth level of the Qi training realm before, such disciples were not his opponents, let alone now, he could be crushed to death with one hand. HMPH, kneel down. Chuan's pressure spread when he saw this, and the extra named Xiao was directly pressed down and couldn't stand up. What qualifications do you have? Does this count? Chuan looked at the extra with a smile. The disciple was frightened by Chuan in front of him. When did this useless Chuan become so strong? Seeing that the disciple did not speak, Chuan walked into the temple without looking back. As for the other disciples who followed him, their realm strength was not as strong as this third level supporting role of the divine Yuan, so they naturally did not dare to speak or stop him. However, after entering the temple, there was no sign of the empress. Nianzhu, where is the empress? Walking to the back garden, I saw Nianzhu. Nianzhu was the only maid in the temple, and I thought she should know the whereabouts of the empress. The empress went to the battlefield outside the domain to resist the people of the magic way. As soon as their voice fell, the system prompt sound came in my mind. Ding, please go to the battlefield outside the domain and sign in at the Blood Demon Gate. Mission. Chuan was puzzled. The system had never asked him to sign in at a specific place before. Ding, due to the prompt of the host's strength, ordinary sign-in can no longer improve the host's strength much. The sign-in mission rewards issued by the system are richer. It seems that I have to go to the Blood Demon sect. Turning around and leaving, I have to think about how to go to the Blood Demon sect. Of course, I can't go with my real appearance. God hiding cloak. Oh, why did I forget this? In addition to hiding the breath, the God hiding cloak can also hide your original breath. Even the Emperor can't see any clues. After putting it on, your appearance can also be covered. It is a rare top-grade equipment for killing and robbing. Find out the map and see where the battlefield outside the domain is. Chuan had never thought about leaving Shenyuan Palace before. It was his greatest fortune to be able to sweep the floor in Shenyuan Palace, so he didn't know the outside world at all. Here. Southeast direction. After finding the location, put on the God hiding cloak and set off with equipment. Now he is only in the return to one realm and has no ability to tear space. It will take about a day to go there. Under the blessing of the God hiding cloak, passers-by around him didn't even notice his figure. He just had no sense of existence. This is the power of the God hiding cloak. There was no pause, not only because of the sign-in task, but also because his wife was fighting the demons. What if she got hurt? The demons were brutal and bloodthirsty, and there was no way they would show mercy. They were not lacking in the Emperor realm. System, can I sign in somewhere else before I reach the Blood Demon Gate? Ding, of course, the sign-in task issued by the system will not be refreshed for the next task if it is not completed, and it will not affect the normal sign-in. I felt relieved after getting the system's answer. Otherwise, if the system signs in a place that I can't go to, then it would be the same as not signing into the system. Time passed quickly, and the battlefield outside the domain was getting closer and closer. Sign in. Ding, their host is currently outside the Divine Fire sect, do you want to sign in? Outside the Divine Fire sect. The rewards for signing in outside the periphery should not be very rich, right? Sign in. After thinking for a while, I decided to forget it. After all, going to the Blood Demon Gate was urgent. Ding, congratulations to their host for signing in successfully and obtaining the inheritance of the Master of Alchemy. Do you want to merge? Merge. I didn't expect that he was actually the Master of Alchemy. You know, it's easy to become a warrior in this world, but it's not certain that 1 out of 1,000 people can step into the alchemy. After the fusion, his understanding of alchemy and the recipe for alchemy gradually became clear in his mind. The Master of Alchemy is so terrifying. Chuan also had to start to sigh at the horror of the alchemist. A powerful alchemist can completely use elixirs to create a saint, or even an emperor. The Master of Alchemy is the title of the strongest alchemist in this area, and there are only 2 in the entire Penglai area. At this time, in the battlefield outside the domain, the Empress was fighting a demon emperor. The 2 sides were close in strength and fought evenly. Qingyang, I'll help you. A middle-aged man in a Taoist robe instantly came to the side of the Empress, with a 7-star sword in his hand, and the whole person seemed to be a sharp sword. I said, "Don't call me by my name." Mu Qingyang looked at the middle-aged man with a hint of anger in her beautiful eyes. The middle-aged man seemed a little embarrassed, but he didn't dare to say anything. Soon, Chuan had approached the battlefield outside the domain, but the battlefield outside the domain was not the Blood Demon sect, which was further inside the battlefield outside the domain. Wearing the invisible cloak, he went there at a faster speed, and there were battles everywhere in the battlefield outside the domain, but no one found his trace. Soon, he came to the foot of a mountain with a very strong smell of blood, and the 3 big characters of Blood Demon sect were carved at the foot of the mountain. Damn, how many people must have been killed to have such a strong smell of blood? The Blood Demon sect is now empty, and all the disciples of the Demon Dao have gone to the battlefield outside the domain. The Demon Dao is not like the people of the righteous path. The disciples are the future. The people of the Demon Dao think that these people should grow up in killing. If you die, it can only mean that you are waste and are not qualified to become a powerful demon. Then this? Hee. Looking at the Blood Demon sect where there was no one, Chuan suddenly had an evil idea. Chapter 8, Kill the 5 demon emperors with 1 sword, new task. System, sign in at the Blood Demon sect. Chuan said. Now that he is in the Blood Demon sect, he can naturally sign in for the tasks given by the system. Ding, congratulations to their host for completing the sign-in task and obtaining the Pure Lotus Divine Body. Since their host completed the system sign-in task for the first time, their host will be rewarded with an additional 20 years of cultivation. I already have a super divine body now. Can this Pure Lotus Divine Body be fused? Chuan asked. Ding, the Pure Lotus Divine Body is not as strong as the Super Divine Body. The Super Divine Body is the strongest physique in the heavens and all realms. It is not recommended for the host to fuse. Chuan nodded and said, fuse 20 years of cultivation. Return to the 6th level of the One Realm. Return to the 7th level of the One Realm. Continue to break through to the 9th level of the One Realm. Only 1 step away, it is the Divine Fire Realm. I have a super divine body, and my cultivation speed is very fast. But with the system, I don't need to cultivate myself. Can I become invincible while playing? The Divine Fire Realm is also a senior elder level in Xianyuan Palace. Although I am only in the 9th level of the Return to One Realm, my strength is not comparable to that of ordinary Divine Fire Realm 1st level warriors. Let's get back to the point. I can't forget the purpose of coming to the Blood Demon sect. Putting on the God-hidden cloak and escaping in the Blood Demon sect, I soon came to the Blood Demon sect's treasure house. There is only one Divine Fire Realm 1st level follower. It seems that they all went to the battlefield outside the domain. Seeing that the only person guarding the treasure house is a Divine Fire Realm 1st level disciple, this treasure house is already his. 10,000 swords return to the sect. Holding the flying sword, a 10,000 swords return to the sect, the disciple couldn't react at all, and he was beaten into a sieve and died on the spot. Product of the system, it is really a fine product. The divine skills are different, and I don't need to practice to master them perfectly. Har, here I come to the treasure house. Entering the treasure house, countless rare treasures were all displayed in front of him. Fortunately, he had many storage rings, otherwise he would not be able to carry so many things. The first batch. The second batch. It took him 11 storage rings to move all the treasures of the Blood Demon sect. Looking at his 2 hands, each with a storage ring on his 10 fingers, it was even more dazzling. Walking out of the treasure house and seeing the body of the disciple, Chuan still cremated him. After all, others helped him get so many treasures. The most precious things in the Blood Demon sect are in this treasure house, and there seems to be nothing good left. By the way, refine a few pills. Suddenly he remembered that he had just obtained the inheritance of the Master of Alchemy, and there were also many alchemy furnaces and precious materials in the treasure house, which just happened to be used for alchemy. Just these 2. Recalling the countless pill recipes in his mind, he finally decided to refine a few rejuvenation pills and sky explosion pills. 1 pill saves life, another pill kills. That can't be said. Although the Sky Blast pill has a lot of side effects, it can improve an entire realm for 30 breaths, making it an invincible single-player king. After a while of fiddling, I finally made it. 4 rejuvenating pills and 3 Sky Blast pills. Out of domain battlefield. Here I come. Wife, wait for me. Chuan let out a long roar, and then disappeared into the blood demon sect. At this time, the Empress in the out-of-domain battlefield did not look very good. This time, the battle in the out-of-domain battlefield was provoked by the Blood Demon sect and the 10,000 Demon sect. The Empress and the Qingshan Sword Emperor took on the battle. The two sides seemed evenly matched, but the people of the demonic path were insidious and cunning, and actually set a trap. The righteous side had the Empress and the Qingshan Sword Emperor, as well as another great emperor of the Sword Pavilion. And the demonic path had 5 great emperors, and the situation gradually became serious. Even the Qingshan Sword Emperor, who had always been calm, now felt a little tricky. Chuan just arrived at the battlefield outside the domain at this time, and saw the Empress clearly. There were 2 people beside her with auras that were almost the same as hers, and they seemed to be in the Emperor realm. And the demon side actually had 5 people with Emperor auras. What kind of fight is this? Why don't you run away? Obviously they are not opponents. Run! Even the demon emperors would not allow it. The 5 demon emperors rushed towards the Empress and her group. The Empress and her 3 used spells to resist, but it was still a bit of a mantis trying to stop a chariot. The 3 were obviously not opponents, and they were more or less injured, and the Empress was the most seriously injured. Damn it, you dare to bully my wife! Chuan roared in his heart. He swallowed 3 Qianbao pills in a row. His aura rose wildly, and it didn't stop until he reached the 9th level of the Emperor realm. There was only 30 breaths of time, and not a moment could be wasted. 10,000 swords returned to the clan. 1 sword slashed out. This sword could destroy everything. The 5 great demon emperors were forced back by this sword. Who is this strong man? Qingshan Sword Emperor was amazed by Chuan's sword. This sword was so beautiful that he seemed to have never practiced sword for hundreds of years in front of this man. It has been said that the system product is really a masterpiece. Destroy the gods. 10,000 swords returned to the sect. 1 sword destroyed the 9 states and covered the sky and the sun. Retreat, we are no match for this black-robed man. One of the demon emperors said. 2 of them were already seriously injured. Retreat. The 5 demon emperors fled in panic. The 3 female emperors were stunned in place, and countless righteous disciples were also stunned in place. 3 swords. Only 3 swords forced the 5 demon emperors back. Chuan was not in a good state at this time. The side effects of the Qianbao pill were too great. He swallowed 4 Wanwu Chun pills in 1 gulp, and his body collapsed and recovered at the same time. And the flying sword had become riddled with holes, and it was obviously no longer usable. Chuan threw it away and disappeared from everyone's sight. Senior. Qingshan Sword Emperor was just about to call Chuan. But Chuan had already left the battlefield outside the domain. Now he was going to die, and he still called him senior. 11 storage rings turned out countless healing holy objects, and Chuan took them one by one. After a whole night, his body finally showed no signs of collapse. At this time, he was on a high peak, and he didn't know if he could sign in for something good. System, sign in. Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully at Broken Blade Peak, and obtaining the holy weapon Broken Blade Sword and 10 years of cultivation. Broken Blade Sword. Looking at the sword without a sword tip in front of him, it was really a broken blade. But it was actually a holy weapon. Integrated with 10 years of cultivation. A powerful aura spread around Chuan, and his realm successfully broke through to the 2nd level of the Divine Fire realm. It's almost time to go back. My wife should have returned to Shenyuan Palace yesterday. Chuan, who was about to go back, heard another reminder in his mind. Ding, task released, host please go to Yaokai to sign in. Yaokai. Chuan was confused. I had learned before that Yaokai was the supreme treasure of the Yaokai Holy Land, and it was difficult to enter. What's more, there were only female disciples in Yaokai Holy Land, and a man like me couldn't get in at all. System, are you deliberately making fun of me? Chuan was a little annoyed. Ding, this time the sign-in reward will be extremely rich. Chuan was convinced. The key is that this is too tempting. The system said it was extremely rich. It had never said it before, but it said it this time, proving that it was really rich. Let's go, Yaokai Holy Land. Chuan stood up and said. At this time, the Empress was in the temple. Chapter 9 Yaokai Holy Land, Trading Pure Lotus Body. In the temple, the empress was lying on the imperial chair, her eyebrows slightly raised, as if thinking about something. The man in black robe. Who is it? The empress muttered softly. She didn't see Yun Chuan after she came back, and there was no trace of him in Shenyuan's secret realm and the back garden. After asking Nian Zhu, she learned that Yun Chuan came to ask her about her yesterday, and disappeared after knowing that she was in the battlefield outside the domain. Of course, she would definitely not think of Yun Chuan and the man in black robe together. The man in black robe is stronger than her, not to mention Yun Chuan, who is just a small muscle-forging realm. Oh no, Yun Chuan won't go to the battlefield outside the domain. The empress suddenly remembered that Yun Chuan disappeared after asking her about her location. The battlefield outside the domain is not guarded by people of the righteous way now, and it is almost all people of the demon way. It is impossible for him, a muscle-forging realm, to survive. At this time, Yun Chuan was almost approaching the area of Yaokai Holy Land. Fortunately, it's not far away. Yun Chuan looked at the Yaokai Holy Land in front of him. It took him almost half a day to get there. However, how to get in after arriving? Yaokai Holy Land is known as the Land of Women. It only accepts female disciples. The elders and saints are all women. How can a big man like him get in? Besides, he is not strong. The strength of the Yaokai Saint Lord in the Emperor realm can kill him with a slap. Yaokai Holy Land is surrounded by fairy mist, like a fairyland. But before he reached the entrance of the Holy Land, someone stopped him. 3 beautiful and tall women stopped him. Who are you? How did you appear in our Yaokai Holy Land? A woman holding a long sword pointed at Yun Chuan and said. Yun Chuan immediately said, I'm here to make a deal. Trade? We never make deals with men in Yaokai Holy Land. The woman's attitude was still very strong. Seeing the tough attitudes of the 3 people in front of him, Yun Chuan had to take out his trump card. I need to negotiate this deal with your lord, please let me know. Yun Chuan said helplessly. He planned to trade with the pure lotus body, after all, this body was useless to him now. And this Yaokai secret realm has never cared about the secular world, and has never harmed other forces. It has always protected its own territory. There should be no harm in giving it away, and it can also be a personal favor. After all, with the system by his side, there will be a constant supply of good things in the future. In his opinion, this pure lotus body is not unattainable. What qualifications do you have to meet the Lord? The Lord never meets a man alone. Seeing that the 3 people were still unwilling to give in, Yun Chuan had no choice but to say it out. He couldn't do it himself, even though these 3 people were only in the divine Yuan realm. And his second-level divine fire realm could suppress them with one hand. What I want to trade is the divine body. As soon as Yun Chuan finished speaking, the 3 people fell silent. Sister, how about informing him? And with the power of the Holy Lord, we don't have to worry about him deceiving us. Then I'll go inform him, you 2 stay here and watch him. The 3 of them whispered, but Yun Chuan heard them all. Finally they made sense. Wait a moment, I'll go inform the Holy Lord first. Okay. Yun Chuan sat down slowly, took out the alchemy cauldron, and prepared to refine 2 pills for himself. Take out the alchemy materials, control the fire with one hand, and several materials seemed to come alive in his hands. About half an hour later, Yun Chuan also successfully refined 3 pills, 3 rejuvenation pills. And the Holy Lord of Yaokai Holy Land has also arrived here. It must be said that this Holy Lord is so beautiful that he can almost share the beauty with his wife, but he is more charming. Holy Lord of Yaokai. Yun Chuan clasped his fists and saluted. Fellow Daoist, do you want to make a deal with our Yaokai Holy Land? The Yaokai Holy Lord spoke, like an oriole singing in the green willows, and the sound alone could fascinate countless cultivators. Yes, a deal for the divine body. Yun Chuan said lightly. And the Yaokai Holy Lord's body trembled slightly. Then fellow Daoist, let's go into the Holy Land and talk. The Yaokai Holy Lord led the way in front, and Yun Chuan followed closely behind. Yun Chuan still wore the god-hiding cloak at this time. No one could see his face clearly, and his breath was just like that of an ordinary person. The only thing that could be known was that he was a man. After entering the Yaokai Holy Land, there were laughter and fragrance everywhere, all of them were young and beautiful women. No wonder it is said that the Yaokai Holy Land is every man's dream. Following the Yaokai Holy Lord, the group came to a hall. Okay, Shinru, you guys go down first. The Yaokai Holy Lord waved his hand slightly, motioning the three disciples to go down. When they went down, Yaokai Saint Lord actually showed an extremely seductive posture and looked at Yun Chuan. Charming heart. Yun Chuan muttered in his heart. I didn't expect that Yaokai Saint Lord was actually charming heart. Are you going to keep your appearance and breath hidden to negotiate a deal with me? Yaokai Saint Lord spoke again, with a fragrance like orchid. Of course not, Yaokai Saint Lord doesn't need to seduce me, put away charming heart. Yun Chuan said lightly. Yaokai Saint Lord was obviously shocked. You actually know that I am charming heart. He couldn't help but re-examine the mysterious man in front of him. In fact, Yun Chuan was just reminded by the system. Yaokai Saint Lord put away charming heart and became his usual appearance. Yun Chuan also took off the Shinyan cloak. Yaokai Saint Lord's pupils obviously dilated for a moment. So Yun? He couldn't help but be surprised. What is the Saint Lord worried about? Yun Chuan obviously felt the change of Yaokai Saint Lord. Oh, no, I just didn't expect you to be so young. The Yaokai Saint Lord also quickly returned to normal. What kind of divine body do you want to trade? In fact, the Yaokai Saint Lord was a little skeptical. After all, he had never heard of a divine body that could be traded. Pure Lotus divine body. Yun Chuan said slowly. What? This scared the Yaokai Saint Lord. You know, the Pure Lotus divine body ranks 6th among the divine bodies. Although it ranks only 6th, this divine body can make people have no bottleneck. In other words, as long as there are more cultivation resources, a pig can also become an emperor. What do you want to trade? The Yaokai Saint Lord said cautiously. I'm afraid that a thing like the Pure Lotus divine body will cost a lot. I just need to enter the Yaokai. Yun Chuan said slowly. It may be a little difficult. If it doesn't work, I'll add 2 more pills. My all things rejuvenation pill is also very precious. Yun Chuan muttered to himself. Yaokai Saint Lord was stunned, that's it? Yaokai may be a divine object for people outside, and they can't touch it at all, but in Yaokai Holy Land, all disciples who join the Holy Land must go through the baptism of Yaokai. It's just that no man has ever entered Yaokai. But compared with the Pure Lotus divine body, there is no comparison at all. Okay. Yaokai Saint Lord made a prompt decision and said directly, fearing that Yun Chuan would regret it. Yun Chuan finally breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he can enter Yaokai, it's not a problem. Chapter 10 Divine Body Transfer in the Heart Sea. How is the divine body traded? Yaokai Saint Lord asked in confusion. I have my own way. Yun Chuan said while flipping through his 11 storage rings. Looking at Yun Chuan's hands full of storage rings, Yaokai Saint Lord was also a little confused. Then the two of them stopped talking and went directly to Yaokai. The two came to the entrance of a cave, and 4 female guards stood outside the door. They were obviously surprised to see Yaokai Saint Lord bring a man in. However, they didn't dare to say anything since the Saint Lord was here, so they let Yun Chuan in naturally. Okay, go in. The Saint Lord of Yaokai looked at Yun Chuan and said. Yun Chuan walked into the cave. A huge pool in the cave must be the Yaokai. Looking at the milky white liquid in front of him, it exuded a strong spiritual energy. Well, why don't you go out for a while? Yun Chuan looked at the Saint Lord of Yaokai behind him. He didn't want to be watched by her when he went to Yaokai to take a bath. Why? The Saint Lord of Yaokai was a little confused, obviously not understanding what Yun Chuan meant. There was no way, Yun Chuan could only speak truthfully. After all, I have to go in, and I have to take off my clothes when I go in. After all, I exchanged it for my divine body. In addition to signing in, I can also take a bath. Anyway, it's useless if I don't take a bath. Hearing Yun Chuan's words, the Saint Lord of Yaokai blushed. You don't need to take off your clothes in Yaokai, it will bathe you when you approach it. The higher the adaptability, the more it absorbs. The Saint Lord of Yaokai said with a red face. So that's how it is. It's really magical. After saying that, Yun Chuan walked to Yaokai. He silently said in his heart, System, sign in at Yaokai. Ding, congratulations to their host for successfully signing in at Yaokai, and reward a divine beast egg, a 9-tailed fox cub. Divine beast 9-tailed fox. I didn't expect it to be a divine beast. You know, there are no divine beasts in the entire Penglai area. The only one close to a divine beast is the dragon, but the dragon is born arrogant and can never become a human divine beast pet. And now I have a 9-tailed fox cub, and it will grow up to be an emperor. This trip is worth it. However, as the system signed in successfully, the liquid in Yaokai began to surround Chuan. So much. Yaokai Saint Lord was obviously very surprised. She didn't expect Chuan to be so compatible with Yaokai liquid. The saint of their holy land is the person who absorbs the most Yaokai liquid besides her, but Chuan has absorbed far more than her. It's not over yet, the liquid is still surging wildly in Chuan's body, even surpassing her. But what she doesn't know is that all this is due to Chuan's super divine body. The super divine body is close to all things in the world. The mere Yaokai liquid is so much that it wants to be sucked all over his body. After half an hour, the whole pool has been completely sucked dry by Chuan. And the Holy Lord of Yaokai has long been numb on the spot. It will take 2 years for Yaokai to recover again. And Chuan is extremely refreshed at this time, and his realm has actually been raised to the 7th level of the Divine Fire realm. He broke through the 5 small realms, and he didn't expect that Yaokai would give him an unexpected surprise. Okay, Holy Lord, let's go back to your hall first and discuss the matter of the divine body. Chuan looked at the Holy Lord, who was stunned on the spot, and still reminded him. Oh, okay. Thinking of the pure lotus divine body, let Yaokai recover. It's not that it can't recover, so I can only wrong Yaokai for a while. Yaokai, you are really a fool. The two then walked to the cave entrance. Yaokai Saint Lord looked at the 4 people guarding outside the cave and said helplessly, "You 4 should go back and practice well. Yaokai does not need you to take care of it for the time being." The 4 people did not understand why, and Yaokai Saint Lord also returned to the hall with Chuan and the others. And the 4 female disciples could not hold back the gossipy hearts of women, and went into the cave to look at Yaokai. Of course, their expressions can be imagined. 4 people, oh. Chuan was naturally unaware of all this. One thing is exchanged for another, and no one can say who is at a loss. Yaokai Saint Lord, who do you want to receive the divine body? Chuan asked. Me? Yaokai Saint Lord said. In fact, her possession of the charm heart is a very powerful talent in the eyes of others, but it is not the case in her own eyes. As her strength grew stronger, the strength of her enchanting heart grew stronger, and her inner restlessness became stronger and stronger. Although she had an enchanting heart, she had never had love since she was born, and she had not lost her virginity until now. And now the pure lotus divine body that Chuan mentioned can help her suppress the desire of the enchanting heart, so she did not hesitate to exchange it with Yaokai. Before, she wanted to find the pure heart and absent desire leaf, which could also suppress the desire of the enchanting heart, but it could not suppress it for a long time. However, it was still very important to her at that time, but she could not find it. And Chuan's trip did save her. Okay. Chuan didn't say anything. After all, she had already exchanged it, so she could give it to whoever she wanted. System, how can I transfer the pure lotus divine body to someone else? Although the system said before that the divine body could be transferred to others, he didn't know the method. Ding, the transferee only needs to let go of the mind, and the host can then enter the heart sea of the transferee with the soul. After understanding, Chuan said, Saint Lord, you just need to relax your mind and let my soul enter your heart. But the Saint Lord of Yaokai frowned at this time. You must know that as a practitioner, the most fatal place is the heart. Letting someone enter your heart means handing your life to the other person. Even if it is a divine Yuan realm, entering the heart of an emperor realm person, the emperor realm person can only let the divine Yuan realm slaughter him at will. Okay. After thinking again and again, she decided to relax her mind. If there is no pure lotus divine body, she will also be lost in the desire of the charming heart. Before finding the man she decides to love for life, she will never let this happen. If so, she might as well die. Looking at the unwilling look on the face of the Saint Lord of Yaokai, Chuan was also a little confused. But when he heard that she agreed, he didn't say anything. Okay, relax your mind. The two sat cross-legged facing each other. The Saint Lord of Yaokai looked at the man in front of him, closed his eyes and chose to believe him. Chuan also entered the heart of Yaokai Saint Lord. At this moment, Chuan understood all of Yaokai Saint Lord's past and her name, Yao Yu. Don't resist, otherwise both of us will be in danger. When Yunchuan was about to go deeper, he felt a sharp pain, which was the reason why Yaokai Saint Lord resisted. Only after hearing this did Yaokai Saint Lord stop resisting. Found it. After entering the deepest part of the heart, Yunchuan began to transfer the divine body. In the outside world, Yaokai Saint Lord was stirring crazily with a strong sense of emptiness. Ying! Yaokai Saint Lord couldn't help but moan. Hearing this sound, Yunchuan almost panicked. And Yaokai Saint Lord's face became redder and redder. Chapter 11 The Empress Suspects, Awu. The Saint Lord of Yaokai did not expect that this transfer of the divine body would actually feel like this, a little itchy, and a little indescribably comfortable. She could not help but scream out, and lost face in front of Yunchuan. However, she felt that there was something more in her body, and she thought that this was the pure lotus divine body. And the desire of the charming heart was slowly decreasing, and even gradually returning to zero. Divine body. Out. As Yunchuan shouted loudly, countless extremely bright lights began to radiate from the Saint Lord of Yaokai's body one by one. And a pink lotus was slowly emerging between the eyebrows of the Saint Lord of Yaokai, which was a sign of the awakening of the pure lotus divine body. Yunchuan, who had left the heart of the Saint Lord of Yaokai, was secretly delighted when he saw the lotus between the eyebrows of the Saint Lord of Yaokai. Fortunately, he did not merge, and the extra lotus on his head would not disfigure him. But it was a different flavor to grow on the forehead of the Saint Lord of Yaokai. As the light disappeared, Yaokai Saint Lord slowly opened his eyes, and the desire of the charming heart also disappeared at this moment. However, what she didn't know was that a new charming heart was also quietly coming. Okay, since the deal is done, I'll leave. Yunchuan said. Wait, what's your name? Yaokai Saint Lord called him. My name is Yunchuan. Yunchuan replied. Yaokai Saint Lord also muttered to himself, Yunchuan. Is this your real name? Then I'm leaving. After saying that, he was ready to leave. At this time, Yaokai Saint Lord called him again and said, Wait, don't you want to ask what my name is? At this time, Yaokai Saint Lord didn't look like a Saint Lord, a person in the Emperor realm, but more like a little girl who was just beginning to fall in love. I know, your name is Yao Yu. As Yunchuan spoke, Yaokai Saint Lord blushed again. How could he forget that Yunchuan had all her little secrets in his heart, not to mention her name? He knew all the other more secret things. As Yunchuan left, Yaokai Saint Lord gradually lost himself in thought as he looked in the direction he left. Yunchuan? When can I see you again? I didn't ask you where you were going just now. Why are you running so fast? I won't eat you. Yaokai Saint Lord talked to himself for nearly half an hour. However, Yunchuan was completely unaware of all this. He had to hurry back to Shenyuan Palace now. His wife probably went back too. These 3 rejuvenation pills were made for her. Last time, she was injured by several demon emperors, and she should not have fully recovered. It took a whole day to finally return to Shenyuan Palace and rush to the temple without stopping. Wife, I'm back. As soon as the words fell, Yunchuan was blown away by a breath. Mu Qingyang, you murdered your husband. Who allowed you to call me that? Mu Qingyang's voice echoed in the temple even though she was not seen. Yunchuan also cursed himself in his heart. He was so proud of himself for going out. He almost forgot that although the person in front of him was his wife, she was also the empress, one of the strongest people in this area. Where did you go? Seeing Yunchuan rubbing his buttocks and walking over, Mu Qingyang still asked. I went to find you, but you had already left when I arrived, so I rushed back without stopping. Yunchuan had already thought about how to make up a lie. By the way, come and eat these 3 pills. Yunchuan took out the 3 rejuvenation pills he made and handed them to Mu Qingyang. Feeling the extremely strong breath of life emanating from the rejuvenation pills, Mu Qingyang was a little shocked. Where did you get this pill? Mu Qingyang said. She naturally knew about the rejuvenation pill for all things. It had reached the level of an imperial pill, and there were only a few people in the entire Penglai region who could refine an imperial pill. How could Yunchuan get such a pill? The levels of alchemists are divided into apprentice alchemists, master alchemists, saint-level alchemists, imperial-level alchemists, and master alchemists. However, the master alchemist has not appeared for a long time, and the emperor-level alchemist is the strongest alchemist in this region. I picked this up in a cave. There was a legacy of an alchemist, but my talent was too low and I couldn't inherit it. But he said that I had a fate with him, so he gave me 3 pills. As for these words, he had thought of them a long time ago, and Mu Qingyang would definitely ask him this. And Mu Qingyang felt the residual medicinal temperature in the pill and concluded that this was definitely not a very old pill. The time for this pill to be made was no more than 3 days, otherwise it would definitely not have medicinal temperature. But since Chuan was unwilling to say, he would not ask any more. The two of them were just a couple in name only, and she just used him as a shield. Actually, I don't need this pill. My injuries have recovered a lot. Mu Qingyang still handed the pill back to Chuan. Take it. The attack of the demon emperor is very strong. It's not easy to recover from injuries. Chuan said forcefully. After hearing Chuan's words, Mu Qingyang's beautiful eyes turned, and her bright eyes stared at him. How do you know that I was injured by the demon emperor? Mu Qingyang looked at Chuan playfully. Oh, didn't I ask Nianzhu? The one who can be your opponent in the battlefield outside the domain must be the demon emperor, otherwise you don't need to go, right? Chuan's mind was full of panic, and he quickly put together what he said before and made up a paragraph. Really? Mu Qingyang seemed to think of something. Of course. Chuan replied. Since Chuan didn't want to say it, she didn't ask any more questions. However, he still accepted the pill. For some reason, he always felt a warmth in his heart. Afraid of being exposed if he asked further, Chuan ran away quickly after he finished speaking. Run so fast. Will I eat people? Looking at Chuan running away, Mu Qingyang was a little angry. Others wanted to see her, but she didn't want to see them. However, the reason why Chuan ran away was not only because he was afraid of being exposed. He had never taken out his divine beast egg since the system rewarded him. Once again, he went to Shenyuan's secret realm. This old place was full of spiritual energy after all. Take out the divine beast egg, in fact, there is no difference from an ordinary egg, just a little bigger. If you have to say what it looks a bit like an ostrich egg in the previous life. Soon, the egg began to tremble slightly, and a crack appeared on the corner. A woo! A baby voice came from the egg. A snow-white little paw stretched out, followed by a fluffy little head with a pair of cute big eyes. After hatching, it looked around, as if appreciating this wonderful world. Suddenly, it jumped up and hugged Chuan's neck. A woo tilde a woo! Holding Chuan's neck, it kept shouting with joy, as if it regarded Chuan as its own parents. Little guy, you will call a woo from now on, understand? Chuan said while touching the little guy's head. A woo tilde a woo! Chapter 12 Secular World, Yanlong Dynasty. This little guy is still a cub now, with only one tail and no realm, but it's cute now. System, sign in. Chuan said. Ding, their host signed in the Shenyuan secret realm and obtained 20 years of cultivation. Do you want to merge? Fusion. As their voice fell, Chuan's realm broke through again, successfully breaking through to the 8th level of the Divine Fire realm, a high level venerable in the eyes of the secular people. Ding, their host has obtained a hidden task. Please go to the Yanlong ancestral land of the Yanlong dynasty to sign in. Another mission? Or the secular world? Chuan was a little confused. Why did the system give him the mission to sign in the secular world? The secular world was not difficult for him. The secular world was unified by 5 dynasties. The strongest person in each dynasty was the king, but he was only in the return to one realm, which was called the emperor in the secular world. Among them, the Yanlong dynasty was a relatively weak dynasty, and it was defeated repeatedly in wars. Now it was like a salted fish waiting to be slaughtered in the eyes of other dynasties. This was not difficult for him at all, but since it was a mission issued by the system, it must not be as simple as imagined. Although Awu didn't want to leave Chuan still put it into the battle pet space provided by the system. After all, his current strength was not enough to protect Awu. If he met some people with intentions, no one could resist the temptation of the beast. Soon, Chuan returned to the temple and planned to refine a few pills before setting off. Although the strongest person in the secular world was only in the return to one realm, he still had to be cautious. 2 Qianbao pills and 2 Wanwu Huachun pills. However, it is not that Chuan does not want to make other elixirs. The best elixirs that he can make at his current level are these 2. Other stronger elixirs cannot saturate the medicinal power of the elixir with his strength in the divine fire realm. Are you going out again? At this time, Mu Qingyan's voice suddenly came from behind Yunchuan. Oh, yes, I'm going to seek an adventure. Yunchuan's heart was hanging. Fortunately, he had put away the alchemy furnace in advance, otherwise he might not be able to hide it. It's not that he doesn't want to tell Mu Qingyang that his strength has reached the divine fire realm and he is a top alchemist, but he has changed too much in just less than 2 weeks. It's a bit strange to tell Mu Qingyang now. Okay, then you be careful. Mu Qingyang left after saying this. Seeing Mu Qingyang walk away, he breathed a sigh of relief. Mu Qingyang, who had already left the temple, frowned and said to herself, why would I care about him? He's just a shield. Yunchuan also packed up and prepared to leave. It takes about 2 days to pass through the barrier from Penglai to the secular world, and 1 day from Shenyuan Palace to the barrier, so it only takes 3 days. Time flies, and soon 3 days have passed. Yunchuan has also arrived in the secular world. The spiritual energy in this secular world is extremely thin. No wonder the strongest is only the Emperor realm. Without stopping, Yunchuan flew directly to the direction of the Yanlong dynasty. Emperor, Emperor. When he arrived at the Yanlong dynasty, the people in the dynasty saw Yunchuan flying and thought he was the emperor. However, this is also the reason why the spiritual energy in the secular world is thin, which causes the spiritual energy of cultivators to be not full, so they can only fly in the air after breaking through the emperor realm. However, in Penglai, breaking through to the Shenyuan realm can fly in the air. Sir, what are you doing in Yanlong dynasty? An old man suddenly appeared and bowed to Yunchuan. Who are you? Yunchuan asked. I am the left prime minister of Yanlong dynasty, Ning Yu, the old man replied. I want to see the king, please introduce me to him. Yunchuan said that since it was the left prime minister, it would be easy to solve, after all, he was the first person under the king. This, please let me know. The left prime minister looked embarrassed, but still chose to compromise. Okay, go ahead. Yunchuan waved his hand. In the palace, behind a curtain, a middle-aged man in a golden dragon robe was lying on the bed dying. King, Ningyu wants to see you for something. The left prime minister said outside the curtain. Ahem, it's the left prime minister, come in. 2 breaths later, a weak voice came from behind the curtain. My lord, an emperor has come to our dynasty and wants to see you. The left prime minister said truthfully. Emperor? Ahem. The lord was obviously seriously injured and was dying. Yes, but I can't sense any hostile aura from him. The left prime minister said. In that case, please come in, ahem. The lord said slowly. I obey your order. The left prime minister said and withdrew directly. And Yunchuan, who was outside, also saw the left prime minister coming out. My lord, the lord invites you. The left prime minister bowed slightly to Yunchuan. The two then entered the palace together. As soon as he entered, Yunchuan found a person lying behind the curtain, dying, and would die in 2 or 3 days at most. My lord, this lord has arrived. The left prime minister bowed slightly to the curtain. Only then did Yunchuan understand that the lord of the Yanlong dynasty was so sick. Help me up. As the curtain opened, a pale, middle-aged man with white hair appeared in front of Yunchuan. This is the current ruler of the Yanlong dynasty, Lifeng. With just one glance, Yunchuan saw Liefeng's physical condition. He was seriously injured, his breath was disordered, and there was a mouthful of blood on his chest, which could not go in or out. No wonder he was about to die. But when Lifeng saw Yunchuan for the first time, he was numb. The man in front of him had a deeper breath than he could compare. If he was a small boat in the sea, then this person was the sea. Hello, sir. Lifeng ignored the maid's support and knelt on one knee to bow to Yunchuan. This. King, what are you doing? King, get up quickly. The maid and the left prime minister were obviously frightened by Liefeng's action. Ahem, no need to say more, you also kneel down and pay homage to the venerable lord. As Lifeng spoke, the prime minister and the maid also understood. No wonder the king did this. It turned out that the young man in front of them was actually a venerable, and venerables did not exist in their secular world. The person in front of them must be from the upper world. Greetings to the venerable. Greetings to the venerable. The maid and the prime minister also knelt down to Yunchuan one after another. Yunchuan waved his hand slightly, motioning them to stand up. He did not pay attention to so many details. What's your name? Yunchuan looked at Lifeng and asked. My name is Lifeng. Lifeng replied. Lifeng, I came here for something. I'm going to your Yanlong ancestral land. Chuan also directly stated the purpose of his trip. This. Lifeng looked embarrassed. The ancestral land was the place where their Lai family's ancestors were buried. It was a bit difficult for Chuan to go in. But in return, I can cure you. But then Chuan continued. And Lifeng suddenly looked up, his eyes full of shock. Chapter 13, Ancestral Dragon Qi, Encountering a Genius. When Chuan said this, it was no longer simple. Now the entire Yanlong dynasty was in danger, and the strongest person was him, the king, who was currently at the 8th level of the emperor. But he was a broken body that could fall at any time. If he fell, the consequences for the people of the entire Yanlong dynasty would be unimaginable. After a mental struggle, Lifeng finally made a decision and agreed to let Chuan enter the ancestral land. Ancestors, the sinner Lifeng apologizes to you here. I can't let the foundation you have built be destroyed in my hands. Lifeng thought in his heart. Okay. Then I'll heal you first. Take this pill. Chuan casually threw out the all things rejuvenation pill. This pill can completely heal Lifeng's injury and even help him break through. As for Lifeng's regret, he was not afraid. His strength was here, and I was not a person who killed innocent people indiscriminately. Why would he take action if he could solve it verbally? When Lifeng got the rejuvenation pill, he was shocked instantly. The life force contained in this pill was extremely vast. This pill would definitely bring him back to life. Thank you for the pill, Venerable. Let's go to the ancestral land without delay. Lifeng said respectfully. Don't worry, just absorb the pill first. Chuan said lightly. Lifeng didn't answer, and swallowed the pill in front of Chuan, not afraid that Chuan would do anything bad to him. If a venerable wanted to kill him, he didn't need to resist at all. Soon, Lifeng, who had refined the pill, recovered quickly, and his white hair turned black at a speed visible to the naked eye, instantly becoming 50 years younger. After Lifeng recovered, he clasped his fists to Chuan and said, Thank you for your grace of rebirth. Thank you for your grace of rebirth to the king. The left prime minister also echoed from behind. No need for so many formalities, lead the way. Then Chuan followed Lifeng to the ancestral land. The two walked to the entrance of the ancestral land, and Lifeng looked guilty in front of the ancestral land. At this time, Chuan said, Don't worry about what I will do to your ancestral land. The second ancestor of your Lai family and I have met once. Of course, this was just Chuan's fabrication. He didn't believe that Lifeng could know anything about the life of his second ancestor. But Lifeng's words were completely different. The second ancestor was the only one in their Lai family who broke through to the venerable realm besides the first ancestor, and the only one who ascended to the upper realm. As for the first ancestor, it was too long ago and there was no way to know. In his eyes, the venerable in front of him must be an old friend of the second ancestor. No wonder the other party saved him. It seems that he was still judging others by his own meanness. The venerable in front of him must have come down to the lower realm because of the second ancestor, and he happened to be seriously injured. In the dark, it seems that God's will has already been determined. It must be said that invisible imagination is the most deadly. Chuan was also surprised, how come he suddenly became taller in Lifeng's eyes? But he didn't ask anything, and stepped directly into the ancestral land. System, sign in. Ding, congratulations to their host for completing the task and successfully signing in at the Yanlong ancestral land. Sign in rewards Yanlong Emperor Armor, Yanlong Emperor Boots, Yanlong Emperor Robe, Yanlong Emperor Hairpin, Yanlong Emperor Arm, Zulong Qi and 50 years of cultivation. Fuck. Chuan couldn't help but swear, he didn't expect the reward to be so much. That Yanlong suit is still secondary, the most important thing is Zulong Qi, Zulong, the ancestor of all dragons, the first dragon between heaven and earth. As long as he unfolds Zulong Qi, all dragons between heaven and earth will submit to him. Hide and wear the flame dragon suit, integrate 50 years of cultivation and the ancestral dragon Qi. As Chuan spoke, the flame dragon suit was on his body, the ancestral dragon Qi also stabilized in his body, and his cultivation broke through directly. 9th level of the Divine Fire Realm. 1 level is left to break through to the Soul Realm. By then, he will be considered a strong man in the Penglai area. And Lifeng outside the ancestral land also felt the strong breath erupting from the ancestral land. He also knew that Yunchuan had broken through, but he didn't know how far he had broken through. Feeling the majestic aura on his body, he is now not afraid of fighting the soul realm. Now his combat power is comparable to the 3rd and 4th levels of the soul realm. With the flame dragon suit and the ancestral dragon chi, the soul realm 9th level is not his opponent. And at this time, Yunchuan heard Lifeng outside the ancestral land shouting, "Congratulations to the venerable for his cultivation again. You are quite perceptive," Yunchuan said and walked out. "Greetings, Your Excellency." Seeing Yunchuan coming out, Lifeng bowed quickly. "You don't have to follow me. After swallowing the elixir, you must be about to break through. Go to retreat. I'm just going to go to the dynasty to take a look," Yunchuan said. "Yes, Your Excellency. Lifeng's current realm is almost uncontrollable. It is only a matter of time before he breaks through to the 9th level of the Emperor. I didn't expect that the Venerable could see it at a glance. If he breaks through to the 9th level of the Emperor, then the 5 dynasties will be under his control. The rulers of the other 4 dynasties are also the 8th level of the Emperor." Yunchuan also left the ancestral land and prepared to go to the Yanlong dynasty to take a look and see if there are any new and interesting gadgets to buy back for his wife to make her happy. Oh, this thing actually has it too. Yunchuan saw a familiar thing. Dreamcatcher. In the previous life, the Dreamcatcher was very popular. I didn't expect to see it here. "Little sister, how much is this thing?" Yunchuan squatted down and looked at a little sister standing in front of the stall. She was about 10 years old, with a slightly chubby face, but her facial features were extremely delicate. She would definitely be a great beauty when she grew up. "This only costs 1 copper coin," the little sister said in a mosquito-like voice. She was obviously a little scared. Copper coin. Yunchuan then remembered that he had nothing on him. He searched for a long time before finding a gold coin. "Here you go, little sister." Yunchuan gave it to the little sister. "Big brother, this is a gold coin. Shinnur doesn't have any more money to give you." The little sister who called herself Shinnur quickly returned the money to Yunchuan. Yunchuan touched her head and said with a smile, "No need to give it to brother, just take it." Yunchuan handed the gold coin to the little girl again, then picked up the dream catcher and prepared to leave. He still liked this little sister very much. It might be a man's nature. They all want to have a daughter and always have a desire to protect her. Ding, the peerless genius Lin Shinnur was found, with the phoenix divine body, which has not yet awakened. Just then, the system prompt sounded suddenly. I didn't expect that I would meet a peerless genius on this trip. Yunchuan turned around and squatted down again and said to the little girl, "Little sister, your name is Shinnur, right?" The little girl nodded. "Then are you willing to go with me?" Yunchuan had a harmless expression. "Go with you? Will I not be bullied?" The little girl whispered. "Of course," Yunchuan said. At this time, an inappropriate voice sounded. Chapter 14, Entering the Soul and Collecting the Phoenix Body. "Go away, pack up and go away." A fat man in official uniform came over. He kicked over a stall next to Yunchuan and cursed, "Didn't I say? This place does not allow stalls to sell things." The little girl quickly packed up her stall and prepared to leave. Yunchuan stopped her and said, "Little sister, don't worry, big brother will protect you." For some reason, she stopped the impulse to pack up after hearing Yunchuan's words, as if she completely believed in the extremely handsome big brother in front of her. "Didn't you hear me? Get out of here." The fat man came over and pointed at the little girl and cursed. The little girl trembled in fear and then hid behind Yunchuan. Par. A loud slap sounded. Everyone around was shocked. This young man actually slapped the fat man away. This person was naturally Yunchuan. In his eyes, wasn't this the urban management in his previous life? He always bullied the common people, but the people in this world were more arrogant and domineering. You dare to hit me, smash me." The fat man covered his face, and now his face was swollen again, which looked very funny. Just as the followers behind him were about to take action, they heard a voice from a distance. "Stop." The fat man was shocked, and the followers quickly knelt down. "See the left Prime Minister." The left Prime Minister did not speak, and slapped the fat man in the face again. Then he turned to Yunchuan and knelt down and said, "Greetings, Your Excellency, please calm down." When the fat man heard this, he swallowed the curse he was about to say. "Your Excellency." The young man in front of him turned out to be Your Excellency. Yunchuan did not speak, but turned to the little girl and smiled. Little sister, do you believe that your big brother can protect you now? Yeah. The little girl nodded. Prime Minister, I hope your Yanlong dynasty can be properly rectified. Then he turned to the left Prime Minister and said, Yes, follow the teachings of Your Excellency. Yunchuan picked up the little girl with one hand and said, Then let's go. But at this time the little girl suddenly said, I can't leave, big brother. Why? Yunchuan asked in confusion. I want to save my mother. I buy things to buy them back for my mother. The little girl said slowly, with a hint of tears at the end. Where is your mother? In Yangliu Tower. Yunchuan looked at the Prime Minister and said, Where is this? Your Excellency, this is the largest brothel in my Yanlong dynasty. Yunchuan then realized that the little girl's mother was actually a brothel owner. Lead the way. Yunchuan said. Yes, Your Excellency. The Prime Minister said quickly. He secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Your Excellency did not get angry, otherwise the Yanlong dynasty would be over. After a while, the group arrived at Yangliu Tower. Shina, what's your mother's name? Yunchuan said, looking at Shina in his arms. My mother's name is Lin Wanru. Yunchuan nodded, and then asked the Prime Minister to call out the manager of Yangliu Tower. Soon, an old woman with a heavy face came out. Greetings, Your Excellency. She knelt down directly in front of Yunchuan. It was obvious that the Prime Minister had said something to her. Call Lin Wanru out. After hearing Yunchuan's words, the old woman did not dare to slack off and called Lin Wanru out. After Lin Wanru came out, Yunchuan was also a little surprised. No wonder she could give birth to Shina. Lin Wanru was so beautiful. With a light makeup on her face, she had a certain charm. Mom! Shina said in surprise. Then she jumped off Yunchuan. Lin Wanru was obviously surprised, and then said angrily, Didn't I tell you not to come to me? Mom, I'm here to save you. This big brother can save you. Shina pointed at Yunchuan. Lin Wanru was obviously calmer after hearing this. The reason she didn't let Shina come to her was just because she was afraid that these people would harm Shina, not because she didn't want to recognize her as her daughter. How much does it cost for me to buy her? Yunchuan asked. Hearing this, the old woman quickly said, No, sir, if you want her, I can let her go. Lin Wanru was shocked when she heard this. What is the identity of this person? The old woman was so scared. In that case, let's go. Yunchuan then turned and left. He didn't like this kind of place and didn't want to stay any longer. Along the way, Lin Wanru and Shina kept reminiscing about the past, and Yunchuan didn't interrupt them. And they returned to the palace together. Lin Wanru, who entered the palace, finally understood that this young man was a distinguished guest of the dynasty. No wonder he was treated so well by the Prime Minister. I want to take Shina away and prepare to accept her as my disciple. Yunchuan also stated his purpose. And this was obviously something Lin Wanru didn't expect. The only thing that bound her in this life was Shina. If Shina was taken away, what motivation would she have to live? No, I can't let Shina leave me. Lin Wanru quickly hugged Shina tightly. I haven't finished yet. If you want to stay with Shina, leave with me. Yunchuan continued. But at this time, a strong breath suddenly emanated. Har har har, I finally broke through. A deafening voice came out. Lifeone came out of retreat. I didn't expect it to be so fast. It seems that his talent is not bad. After coming out of retreat, Lifeone saw Yunchuan and his party, and hurriedly stepped forward and bowed, saying, Thank you for your support. Greetings to the king. The king's appearance can be said to have frightened Lin Wanru, and she quickly knelt down to perform the etiquette of a subject. No need to be polite. Lifeone was naturally a man of vision to be able to sit on the throne. This Lin Wanru was obviously brought back by Yunchuan. How about it, have you thought it through? Do you want to leave with me? Yunchuan spoke again. Although the king just said the word honorable to Yunchuan, as an ordinary person, she naturally didn't know how much power the word honorable had. However, since she was treated like this by the king, even if she was a fool, she knew that the young man in front of her had an extraordinary origin. I am willing to go with you. Yunchuan smiled slightly, and finally succeeded. What about you? Shina, are you willing to worship me as your master? I am willing to do the same, big brother. As soon as their voice fell, the system sounded again. Ding, congratulations to their host for successfully accepting the peerless genius as a disciple. Reward Phoenix Feather, 120 years of cultivation. There is actually a reward. This is something Chuan did not expect, but this Phoenix Feather is obviously for Shina. It should be used to awaken the Phoenix divine body. The king and the prime minister were envious. Being accepted as a disciple by the venerable, the future is limitless. System, let's integrate 120 years of cultivation first. Chuan said. Soul level 1. Soul level 2. A strong breath burst out from Chuan. Finally entered the soul realm. The king, Lai Feng, was also overwhelmed by this terrible aura. He trembled slightly and said, Saint. Saint. Chapter 15. Returning to Penglai, the Empress is jealous. In Liefeng's eyes, the Venerable is already invincible in the world, but he would never dare to even dream of meeting the saint in his entire life. But just now, he actually witnessed the birth of a saint with his own eyes. Thinking of this, he envied Lin Wanru and her daughter even more. They were saints. With the protection of the saint, who in the world would dare to bully this mother and daughter again? I'm sorry, I accidentally broke through and my aura leaked out. Chuan looked at Lai Feng and the others' pale faces and said embarrassedly. It was obvious that these people were suffocating because of their own breath. What did the saint say? It is the honor of my life to witness the birth of a saint with my own eyes. Lai Feng knelt down and said. In front of the saint, his identity as the ruler of the Flame Dragon dynasty was nothing. Okay, I don't need so many formalities. You have a good talent. If you have the opportunity to ascend to the upper realm, you can come to Shenyuan Palace, the superpower in the Penglai region, to find me. Chuan said to Lai Feng. This Lai Feng looks to be only in his 40s or 50s. It is quite impressive that he has reached the 9th level of the Gi realm at this age, especially in the secular world where the spiritual energy is scarce. Therefore, he still has a good chance of breaking through to the divine fire realm and ascending to the Penglai region. Thank you for the promotion, Saint. Lai Feng will definitely work hard. Lai Feng said excitedly. With the saint's promise, I will have a place of refuge once I ascend. Lin Wanru and Shina were already stunned on the spot, especially Lin Wanru. She didn't expect the king to kneel down to Chuan. This scene really made her a little overwhelmed. Chuan turned around and looked at the mother and daughter and said, Okay, let's go. Chuan slashed with his knife and created a hole in the space. Now that he had broken through to the soul realm, it was naturally easy for him to tear the space apart. He took the two of them and went directly into the space crack, disappearing into the palace. Lai Feng and the Prime Minister also said together, Farewell, Saint. In the space crack, Chuan protected the two men while moving forward quickly. The two men had relatively low cultivation, and without his protection, they would be crushed into powder in an instant by the huge pressure. Shina and the other girl didn't dare to move and just let Chuan keep pulling them. Soon, 2 days passed and the three people came out of the space crack. Shina's eyes widened instantly when she looked at the outside world. This place was like a fairyland, so beautiful. What Shina saw was naturally the outermost layer of the Penglai area. In fact, the speed in the space crack is very fast, but considering that Shina and Lin Wanru are just ordinary people, they may not be able to withstand a few days without food or water. So I decided to come out and take them to eat something first. However, the food was all in his storage ring, and there were no restaurants in this remote area. However, after searching for a long time, I couldn't find any cooked food. There was raw food, but I had to make it myself. Wait me a moment. After Chuan finished speaking, he took out a huge leg that looked like a lamb leg, made a fire and started roasting it. Half an hour later, the fragrant roasted legs were out of the oven. Come on, share it between the two of you. Why haven't you eaten anything? Chuan gave his legs to the two of them. After getting it, the two began to eat it with relish. Soon, they were full. Chuan didn't waste any time and started on his way. A day passed. The three of them landed in Shenyuan Palace. Without stopping, he rushed straight into the temple. Shina and Lin Wanru were also shocked by the luxurious decoration of Shenyuan Palace. I didn't expect Chuan to come from such a place. No wonder the king of Yanlong dynasty has always been respectful to him. In comparison, the two are indeed not on the same level. As soon as he entered the temple, Yunchuan saw Nianzhu cleaning. Nianzhu also turned around and saw them and said, "Why did you bring other people here?" Before Yunchuan could speak, Empress Mu Qingyang also appeared in the temple hall. Looking at Yunchuan, he asked in confusion, "Yunchuan, who are these two people?" "Wife, this little girl is my disciple, and this is her mother," Yunchuan said again shamelessly. But what was strange was that this time Mu Qingyang didn't scold him when she heard the word wife. At this moment, Lin Wanru was stunned. Mu Qingyang's appearance was like that of a fairy, extremely beautiful. Ordinary worldly words could not describe her beauty at all. And such a peerless beauty was actually Yunchuan's wife. "Then you and Nianzhu arrange accommodation for them. I'm going to rest first," Mu Qingyang said lightly, then turned and left. "Nianzhu, is there any place to live near the temple?" Yunchuan asked Nianzhu. "Yes, there is, but no one has lived there for a long time, and it's not a good place," Nianzhu said after thinking for a while. "That's it, take us there," Yunchuan said. Nianzhu was so angry. Now Yunchuan was the husband of the empress, and she didn't dare to say anything. She could only curse Yunchuan silently in her heart. Freeloader. Freeloader. It has to be said that Yunchuan fulfilled the dreams of 99% of men in this world. Eat the biggest free meal. Soon, the group arrived at a palace. Yunchuan, Lin Wanru, and the other two were stunned. "Is this what you mean by not being a good place? This is a palace." Maybe she was used to staying in the temple, so she felt that this kind of palace was not a good place. "Then I'll leave. You guys clean up yourselves." After saying this, Nianzhu slipped away, fearing that Yunchuan would ask her to help clean up. "You guys clean up 1 or 2 rooms and live in them. I'll come over tomorrow. You guys just take a good rest today," Yunchuan said to the two of them. "Thank you, big brother." Shina ran over and hugged him and said. Yunchuan smiled and touched Shina's head and said, "No need to thank me, you are my little apprentice now, I will definitely treat you well." Shina nodded. "Okay, Lin Wanru, just clean it up by yourself, and I'll come over tomorrow," Yunchuan said. "Thank you, sir. I understand." Lin Wanru also bowed slightly. Yunchuan didn't expect that she was so polite. After leaving, he went directly to the temple and hid his realm at the 8th level of the muscle tempering realm. When he entered Mu Qingyang's room, he saw Mu Qingyang lying on the bed on her side, wearing a light blue silk dress, her hot body fully displayed in front of Yunchuan. Mu Qingyang naturally noticed Yunchuan coming in, and immediately stood up and asked, "Who allowed you to come in? Isn't this also where I live?" Yunchuan thought to himself. Yunchuan didn't understand, but he started to speak. "Wife, don't I live here too?" "I said, don't call me wife, do you want to die?" Mu Qingyang raised her pink fist, looking a little bit cute. Who would have thought that this was the empress? "You brought back 2 people each time you went out, so do you have to bring back 2 more next time?" Mu Qingyang continued. After these words were spoken, Yunchuan finally understood. After all this time, is my wife jealous? Chapter 16, Shina awakens the phoenix body. When she saw Yunchuan's teasing look, Mu Qingyang also found that what she had just said was a little strange. "I couldn't help but think to myself, what's wrong with me? I always feel a little uncomfortable. Okay, my dear wife, that is really my disciple. That little girl has great talent." Yunchuan walked over slowly and then sat next to Mu Qingyang. "You still know that you have good talent. When can you practice well and improve your cultivation? That's more important," Mu Qingyang said unhappily. Okay, I got it." Then he took out a quilt and spread it on the ground. After lying down, Yunchuan looked at Mu Qingyang and said, "By the way, honey, why do you want to marry me?" In fact, this question has troubled Yunchuan for a long time, but he has never had the time to ask it. There are so many young talents in the entire Penglai area, and even many emperors are attracted to Mu Qingyang, so why did she choose herself? Although I have a handsome appearance and look like Panan, I don't think Mu Qingyang will marry me just because I am handsome. You had an aura that made me feel very comfortable," Mu Qingyang said with a red face. "Is that it?" Yunchuan was a little unconvinced. "That's it." Mu Qingyang turned her head and said. However, what Mu Qingyang said was half true and half false. That aura was naturally emitted by Yunchuan when he merged with the super divine body. More importantly, that aura could suppress her inner demons. At that time, her inner demons were running rampant due to her cultivation and she was burning with desire. After going to Shenyuan Square, she found that Yunchuan could actually suppress her inner demons. She had no choice but to find Yunchuan to have sex with her to resist her inner demons. If it were anyone else, they would definitely be burned to death by her inner demons. Yunchuan naturally had no idea about these things. After all, he didn't know that Mu Qingyang had problems with her cultivation at that time, which led to this incident. No words all night. Later, Yunchuan was also talking to Mu Qingyang, but Mu Qingyang ignored him, so the two naturally ended the conversation. People who have cultivated to Mu Qingyang's level no longer need to sleep. Yunchuan actually doesn't need to sleep to rest, but because of his habits in two lives, sleeping has become a normal thing for him. Mu Qingyang was so angry in the second half of the night that Yunchuan actually started snoring, which made it impossible for her to practice all night. She could only lie down all night. Good morning, wife. Yunchuan got up and found Mu Qingyang was still in the room. He was a little surprised. Mu Qingyang glared at him fiercely and went out, leaving behind Yunchuan with a confused look on his face. What's wrong with me? Yunchuan was completely confused. Did I sleepwalk onto the bed in the middle of the night? Yunchuan thought to himself that this was the only reason he could think of that would make Mu Qingyang angry. But today I still have to go to Shinar to awaken her phoenix body. Soon, they set off directly to the palace where Shinar and the others lived. I didn't expect Lin Wanru to get up to clean so early. Greetings, young master. Lin Wanru put down the cleaning tools in her hands after seeing Yunchuan. Seeing this scene, Yunchuan seemed to see his past self, a sweeping boy in Shenyuan Palace. He was also a cleaner in his previous life and had to bow and nod to everyone he met. Where is Shina? Yunchuan asked. Big brother, I'm here. Shina suddenly appeared behind Yunchuan. Yunchuan looked at Shina, who was helping to clean with a brush in her hand. Okay, Shina, I'm here today to teach you how to practice. Yunchuan said, touching Shina's head. Suddenly, a white light shot out from Yunchuan's arms. Why did you come out? Yunchuan took a closer look and found that it was a Wu, but how did it get out of the battle pet space? Big brother, what is this? It's so cute. I saw a Wu jump directly into Shina's arms. This is my friend, his name is a Wu. Yunchuan explained patiently. A Wu tilde a Wu. A Wu cried. Yunchuan quickly picked it up and put it back into the battle pet space. Okay, let it come out and play with you next time. We have more important things to do today. After saying that, Yunchuan took out the phoenix feather that the system had rewarded him with. System, how do I use this? Ding, the host only needs to place the phoenix feather between the target's eyebrows and wait for the phoenix feather to merge on its own. After understanding the system's meaning, Yunchuan placed the phoenix feather directly on Shina's forehead. The phoenix feather instantly merged into Shina's brow, and Shina herself also felt a strong sense of heat at this moment. A phoenix shadow slowly appeared behind Shina, and a flame mark appeared between her eyebrows, which was a sign of the awakening of the phoenix divine body. And her realm began to rise rapidly at this time. The first level of the strongbone realm. Then to the first level of muscle strengthening realm. Finally, he stabilized at the fifth level of the tendon tempering realm. Is it so fierce? And this breath was naturally felt by Mu Qingyang. The divine body is born. In this position, Mu Qingyang disappeared from the spot in an instant. Big brother, can I practice now? Shina finished awakening her divine body and ran towards Yunchuan. Of course. Yunchuan touched Shina's head and liked her more and more the more he looked at her. Half a breath. Mu Qingyang also appeared here. Honey, why are you here? Yunchuan saw Mu Qingyang's figure. Is she your disciple? Mu Qingyang pointed at Shina and said. Of course, my vision is still good. Yunchuan said with a smile. No wonder, it turns out to be the phoenix divine body. Mu Qingyang spoke to herself. In fact, Shina's phoenix divine body is very similar to her heavenly fire divine body, both of which use fire to prove their truth. If I grow up, I won't necessarily be weaker than her. Just give her the Shenyuan Codex to practice with. Mu Qingyang left after she finished speaking. Yunchuan couldn't help but smile bitterly. His wife was always in a hurry and he didn't know what she was busy with. Then he gave the Shenyuan code to Shina. He turned to look at Lin Wanru and said, "You can practice the Shenyuan code with Shina. If you have talent, you should be able to become a practitioner." This made Lin Wanru flattered. Could it be that she could also practice? "Thank you very much for your kindness, sir. I would like to express my gratitude to you here." Lin Wanru's eyes were full of excitement, and she bowed to Chuan. "Practice well, Shina, you should also work hard." After saying that, Chuan left as he had other things to do. Just now, the system issued him another task. Go to Qiankan Valley to sign in and get the Qinkuei Pearl. He knew about Qiankan Valley, a medium-sized force. The Valley Master was a person at the 9th level of the Soul Realm and practiced puppetry, but he didn't know if he had any trump cards. If you don't have any trump cards, your chances of winning are still very high. Mu Qingyang secretly saw Chuan leaving Shenyuan Palace. What's the matter with him? Why does he always go outside? Mu Qingyang was becoming more and more confused about Chuan. Chapter 17, The Master of Miqin Sangu returns home to cheat on his wife. In Mu Qingyang's eyes, Chuan was becoming more and more mysterious, and sometimes she couldn't help wanting to explore the secrets of this man. Qiankan Valley is not far from Shenyuan Palace, and Chuan arrived at Qiankan Valley in half a day. However, Qiankan Valley really didn't know how to find a location. It had to build this valley in the wilderness, and there was no one living within 100 miles. Almost every 10 steps you take you can see the skeletons of monsters and some strange bones. Soon, a valley extending into the pit appeared in the fog. This was Qiankan Valley. Put on the invisibility cloak and go straight in. However, there was no one in the valley, which Chuan had not expected. He couldn't help but ponder, does Qian Sangu have no disciples? Even if the entire valley is mobilized to attack other places or to gain experience, there will be disciples left behind to guard the base camp. Not only that, there was no one in the valley, but there was also a strong smell of blood that did not dissipate for a long time. So he concluded that a great battle must have taken place in Qiankan Valley before this. Otherwise, why would there be such a strong smell of blood? However, the system task also requires obtaining the Qinkuei Pearl, but this Qinkuei Pearl is the treasure of Qiankan Valley and should be in the hands of the Valley Master. Soon, Chuan arrived outside a temple in Qiankan Valley. The smell of blood was getting stronger at this location, as if someone was still fighting inside. And there is also a strong and strange smell inside. Who? An extremely hoarse and unpleasant voice was heard. Chuan's pupils trembled. The scene before him made him feel nauseous. There was actually someone refining human flesh and blood here. And the person who made the sound naturally discovered Chuan's existence. Chuan didn't expect that the man in front of him was actually using his flesh and blood to fuse with a huge puppet in the center of the hall. Chuan suddenly felt sick. He didn't expect to meet someone who practiced evil magic. He has no sympathy for such people. Swordsmanship. The broken blade sword was unsheathed, like lightning cutting through the night sky. The man also controlled the puppet to block Chuan's sword, and looked at him angrily and said, "Who are you? How dare you stop this Valley Master from completing his great cores?" Chuan looked at him and said coldly, "This Valley Master. So you are the Valley Master of Qiankan Valley. You practice evil arts and refine the disciples in the valley. What kind of great cause is this? You scoundrel, you are looking for death." The Master of Qiankan Valley attacked in anger, controlling the puppet to attack Chuan directly. This puppet actually has the strength of an emperor. It seems that this valley wants to improve the strength of puppets by refining disciples, so that Qiankan Valley can become a force with a higher evaluation. However, Chuan thought this method was totally unacceptable. Without any disciples, what was the point of having the name of this force? 10,000 swords returned to their origin. The power of the second realm of soul and spirit burst out, and when combined with the super divine body and sword heart to use the 10,000 swords return to the origin, the power has exceeded the soul realm and reached the power of the emperor realm. With one sword, he can destroy mountains and rivers. He is the only one who can reign supreme. This is the most appropriate way to describe this sword. The emperor-level puppet also had its 2 arms broken by this sword. This sword obviously shocked the master of Qiankan Valley. A soul at the 2nd level, with a sword that was as powerful as that at the emperor level. Where did this peerless genius come from? And this sword cut off the puppet's 2 hands, which seemed very satisfying to Chuan. Well, not bad, another sword. All the swords returned to their origin. After admiring himself for a while, Yunchuan struck again with the sword. Just like that, while the master of Qiankan Valley had a confused look on his face, a cold light cut through the darkness. Although the master of Qiankan Valley fought back, the sword still split the puppet in half. After the puppet was split into two halves, a pure white bead shot out and Yunchuan caught it steadily in his hand. At this time, the voice of the system also came. Ding, congratulations to the host for completing the task and obtaining the heavenly puppet pearl. Do you want to sign in at Qinsang Valley? Sign in. Ding, check-in successful, congratulations to the host for completing the task, rewards, heaven-level puppetry technique, god-level clone technique, and 100 years of cultivation. This reward is too great. He didn't have time to look at the reward, but instead looked at the master of Qiankan Valley. The leader of Qiankan Valley did not have any puppets to support him. He was just a weakling in the 9th level of the Soul Realm and could be killed with one sword. Give me back the Qinkuei pearl, give it back to me quickly. The Valley Master spoke like a madman. HMPH, sword drawing technique. A sword flashed first, and then a head fell to the ground. Yunchuan didn't feel anything wrong about killing him. After all, he was getting rid of a threat to the people. If he didn't kill him, he didn't know how many innocent lives he would have harmed. Then he turned around and left the hall. He didn't want to stay in the hall filled with the smell of blood for even a second longer. Heaven-level puppet technique. God-level clone technique. After taking a closer look at the two rewards, he found that the puppet technique was not so bad, just an ordinary puppet control technique, but the clone technique left him in shock for a long time and he couldn't recover. This clone technique can not only create a person who is exactly like him, but the clone's strength is also exactly the same as his, and the clone's death will not have any impact on him. What does this mean? It means that Yunchuan will have an invincible fighter from now on. He doesn't have to do anything by himself, and he doesn't have to worry about any life-threatening dangers. At this moment, Yunchuan just wants to say, long live the system. System, integrate 100 years of cultivation first. He also did not forget this reward. 100 years of cultivation was the most he had ever received from the system. As soon as he finished speaking, Yunchuan's aura began to rise rapidly. The 3rd level of Soul Realm. It did not stop until it reached the 8th peak of the Soul Realm, and finally stabilized at the 8th peak of the Soul Realm. Practice the art of clones. The skills and martial arts rewarded by the system can be learned instantly, and you don't have to spend time practicing them later. In this respect, the system is very user-friendly. He instantly mastered the art of clones in his mind, and now all he needed was a powerful material to shape the clone's physical body. I'll have to think about this later. I don't have anything good to shape my body now. There is no need to practice this puppet technique now, and I don't need it now. Qiankan Valley has now disappeared in the Penglai area. If I practice this puppet technique, it may easily arouse suspicion from some people with ulterior motives. By the way, let's go back and see if there is any material for my wife. How could you forget about your rich wife? Mu Qingyan's figure suddenly appeared in Yunchuan's mind. She must have a lot of rare materials. Yunchuan soared into the air and rushed back to Shenyuan Palace with all his strength. Mu Qingyang, who was far away in the back garden of the Shenyuan Palace temple, suddenly sneezed. Aki, what's wrong with me? Will I catch a cold again? Mu Qingyang was a little confused. Little did she know that someone had already been thinking about her. Chapter 18 The Birth of Darkness, The Wedding Arrives. Half day. Yunchuan has returned to Shenyuan Palace. On the way, he also looked at the puppet technique and found that he could control a puppet of the 9th level of the Emperor Realm. As luck would have it, he happened to obtain the Heavenly Puppet Pearl, which could double the power of the puppet, and would be a great help in his future practice. However, he is more excited about this god-level clone technique now. The most important thing now is to find some god-level materials to create a perfect body for the clone. Soon, Yunchuan arrived at Shenyuan Palace. Greetings to the Emperor. An old man saw Yunchuan coming over and quickly bowed. What? What Emperor? Yunchuan was confused. He didn't even know this old man. You are the husband of the Empress, so you are naturally the Emperor of our Shenyuan Palace. Seeing that Yunchuan was a little confused, the old man explained. So that's how it is, Emperor, a little domineering, barely worthy of him. Yunchuan smiled and nodded, then left. It seems that after Mu Qingyang announced in Shenyuan Palace that Yunchuan was her husband last time, everyone in the palace also knew him. Although he was quite famous in Shenyuan Palace before, he just went from being a waste to a gigolo. In their eyes, Chuan is just a gigolo, she has no accomplishments at all, and is an empress who relies solely on her looks to seduce people. Wife. Chuan came to the temple, but did not see Mu Qingyang. Could you please stop yelling? Mu Qingyang walked out from the back garden with an angry look on her face. Hey, honey, do you have anything sturdy or durable? Chuan asked directly. Sturdy? Mu Qingyang was confused after listening to Chuan's words. Why does he suddenly want these things? She does have this kind of thing, but what use does Chuan have for it? Mu Qingyang took out her storage ring, took out 2 things and gave them to Chuan. As for the things you mentioned, these are the only 2 things I have that are similar to what you said. Mu Qingyang said. Chuan looked at the 2 things, a stone and a piece of bark. Can these 2 things withstand a beating? But since it was taken out by Mu Qingyang, it shouldn't be bad. What do you want these things for? Mu Qingyang asked. Chuan said calmly, I'm going to use it to make a set of self-defense clothes for myself. Just tell me about this kind of thing and I'll give it to you myself, isn't that enough? Mu Qingyang said. She herself is at the emperor level, and few people can hurt her with her own defense alone. In addition, she also has emperor level armor and a lot of saint level armor that can be given to Chuan. Hearing this, Chuan frowned and said sternly, how can that be? I am a man, how can I ask my wife to solve some trivial matters? But. No buts, I can't always be under your protection, I don't want to be a gigolo for the rest of my life. Okay honey, I'll go study these 2 things first. Chuan interrupted Mu Qingyang directly, then turned and left. Mu Qingyang was speechless and just stood there in a daze. Half a breath later, the imperial aura emanating from Mu Qingyang spread directly throughout the entire temple. How dare you talk to me like that? Chuan, don't let me catch you next time. Mu Qingyang stomped her feet in anger. At this moment, Chuan felt a chill on his back and thought to himself, did I catch a cold? But on second thought, the most important thing now is to quickly create the physical body of the clone. I took out the bark and the stone, but I didn't know how to start. Ding, I found the super magical bark of the other sure tree, which can be used as a material to shape the body of the clone. At this time, the system's voice sounded again. System. I really love you. You always come out at the critical moment. System, get away. I am a man. However, the stone system did not give any hints, probably because it is not as useful as the bark. Clone technique, dark clone, condensate. This clone technique can be used twice in total. The first one is a dark clone, born for assassination. The second one is a light clone, but Chuan is not at the level yet to condense it. The clone technique was then performed, and the bark of the other sure tree began to fuse and grow, eventually forming a body with 4 limbs, but without a head. This. Chuan was speechless. This couldn't be considered a success without a brain. By the way, that stone is better to have than nothing. Ding, the clone merged with the super divine object Starlight Wisdom Heart. The fusion was successful. Chuan was confused. What was this Star Wisdom Heart? Was it this strange stone? Why are all the things my wife gives me super magical things? As for the super divine object, Chuan only feels that it is very powerful. After all, this conclusion can be drawn from his super divine body. But there is no time to be distracted, as he is now only 1 step away from condensing his clone. In the light, the phantom of a body and the phantom of a head slowly overlapped. Dark clone, condense for me. Until the 2 phantoms completely overlapped, a complete clone was successfully condensed. At this time, a person who looked exactly like Chuan stood in front of him, but his whole body exuded an aura like a cold cellar. It is the same aura as Mu Qingyang's previous one, but if Mu Qingyang is frost, then this dark clone is extremely cold. Just by standing there, the temperature around was dropping rapidly. This was the dark clone. From now on, you can call me An. Chuan said to An. Yeah. An replied. You are really aloof. Chuan couldn't help but sigh. However, this confirmed his thoughts that the dark clone was indeed extremely cold. An looked at Chuan, and after 2 breaths he said coldly, well. Forget it, there is no need to dwell on these things. Now that I am at the 8th level of the soul realm, my dark realm is the same as his, and my strength is on par with his, which is a great help. From now on, you will come out only when I call you. Hide at other times. Yunchuan said. And didn't say anything and instantly disappeared into Yunchuan's shadow. Seeing this scene, Yunchuan couldn't help but exclaimed in his heart, "Fuck, ninja." Time flies. A month has passed since the condensation of the dark clone, and there are 2 days left until Yunchuan and Mu Qingyang's wedding day. Mu Qingyang also sent out wedding invitations, inviting the emperors of several other major forces to come and watch their wedding. Of course, Yunchuan's old rival, Qingshan Sword Emperor, is also among them. In the past month, Yunchuan did not receive any other tasks issued by the system, and he just signed in at other places in Xianyuan Palace that he had not been to. The realm has also been raised to the first level of the Emperor realm. However, Yunchuan has always thought that Mu Qingyang wanted to use him as a shield to marry him, but that is not the case. Who can threaten someone like Mu Qingyang? She just didn't want to have a second man because she gave her first time to Yunchuan. But Mu Qingyang never told him this. But no matter what, the ending cannot be changed. I don't know whether this will be a blessing or a curse. Chapter 19 Wife, you are so beautiful. Over the past month, in addition to teaching Shinar how to practice, Yunchuan has been signing in, tending flowers, playing with Mu Qingyang, and using all kinds of gadgets to make her happy. However, in Mu Qingyang's eyes, she had not seen Yunchuan practicing for the past month. She was very angry at first, saying that he was a hopeless case. But later on, she felt relieved and thought that this would be fine for the rest of her life. However, if Yunchuan continues like this, his realm will not be able to keep up with hers, and their lifespans will be completely disproportionate. The lifespan of Yunchuan's realm is no more than 100 years, but this amount of time is just a blink of an eye for her. The lifespan of the Emperor realm is as high as tens of thousands of years, but it only took her 200 years to enter the Emperor realm. But there is a saying that goes, the side he lets you see is only what he wants you to see. Mu Qingyang would never have thought that Yunchuan actually possessed a system, and his realm was almost surpassing hers. Under the cover of the system, she couldn't find out what Yunchuan's true realm was. There is still 1 day left until their wedding day, and today, many forces have come, but there are no people from the Emperor realm. After all, emperors are arrogant and will only come on that day. These people from small forces come early just to win favor. At this time, Mu Qingyang was sitting in the bedroom of the temple, with 5 or 6 maids around her dressing her up. Yunchuan was also watching from the side. At this moment, Mu Qingyang was dressed in red, with rosy cheeks, snow-white lips, and icy skin. She was like a fairy in the mortal world. A faint fairy fragrance wafted into the air. She was so beautiful, simply stunningly beautiful. Wife, you are so beautiful. Yunchuan looked at Mu Qingyang with a dazed face and spoke subconsciously. Hearing Yunchuan's words, Mu Qingyang's cheeks became hot and a slight blush appeared on her face. It's not that Yunchuan couldn't control himself, the key point is that Mu Qingyang was so beautiful, without a single flaw. Isn't either word stunningly beautiful tailor-made for her? And now is just the beginning. I wonder how beautiful it will be when all the costumes are completed. But now he had to leave the temple for a while and go to the martial arts pavilion. Senior. As soon as he entered the martial arts pavilion, he saw the old man who wanted to take him as a disciple. Oh? Why are you here, kid? I didn't expect that you are the Empress's husband. The old man looked at Yunchuan and smiled. Senior, you are joking. I came here today to look for some martial arts related to fire. Yunchuan said. This martial art was naturally found for Shina. Since Shina awakened the Phoenix divine body, her realm has improved very quickly. Basically, she can break through a small realm every few days. However, she has not practiced any martial arts until now. You came at the right time. This old man just happened to have a copy of a very good martial arts skill called 9 Heavens Sea of Fire. As he spoke, the old man took out the book on 9 Heavens Sea of Fire and handed it to Yunchuan. Thank you, senior. I will leave first. Yunchuan bowed slightly. Go. Remember to bring some wine to the old man for the wedding tomorrow. The old man waved his hand. Certainly. Yunchuan left immediately after he finished speaking. Yunchuan has always respected this old man, because the aura of this old man is almost the same as that of the Empress Mu Qingyang, and even has a tendency to be slightly higher than Mu Qingyang. How could such a strong man be willing to guard a small martial arts pavilion forever? Moreover, even the janitor force has several emperors, and the Shenyuan palace should have more than just Mu Qingyang as the emperor in public. I found Shina and taught her how to practice the 9 heavens sea of fire. It was already evening. Chuan was also preparing to return to the temple. After returning, he saw Mu Qingyang sitting alone in the bedroom practicing. Chuan walked gently to Mu Qingyang's side and whispered into her ear, "Wife, take a good rest today and stop practicing." Mu Qingyang obviously knew that Chuan was coming in, so she was not surprised, but slowly stopped practicing. Seeing this, Chuan took Awu from his arms, and Awu kept barking at Chuan, as if venting his dissatisfaction, and was still upset about Chuan having kept it in the battle pet space. "What is this?" Mu Qingyang was obviously a little surprised. "A 9-tailed fox cub," Chuan said with a smile. Mu Qingyang was a little slow to react. She naturally knew what a 9-tailed fox was, but this was a divine beast. Why would Chuan own a divine beast? The mythical beasts in the entire Penglai area have long disappeared, so where did this 9-tailed fox come from? "Let Awu stay in the back garden from now on so that you can see him every time," Chuan said. "Does it cry out?" Mu Qingyang asked. "Well, I gave it this name because it kept howling," Chuan said as a matter of course. Soon, Chuan remembered something and said, "By the way, wife, I have something for you." He took out another thing from his arms, a ring. "What is this?" "I have a storage ring," Mu Qingyang said, looking at the ring. "This is not a storage ring, this is a ring that symbolizes our love. Come, let me put it on you." Before Mu Qingyang had time to resist, Chuan put the ring on her. This world is not like the previous life, where newlyweds have to exchange rings, but Chuan thinks they should still wear rings, as it would be more meaningful. This ring was also given as a gift by the system upon signing in. It was called the Mandarin Duck Ring. He was the Mandarin Duck and Mu Qingyang was the duck. When the two of them wore the ring, their practice speed would be accelerated. It also had the effect of nourishing the mind and exorcising evil spirits, and could prevent them from going astray. I have to say, there is nothing bad in the system, and everything is what he needs. Mu Qingyang looked at the ring in her hand, which was silvery white and very bright. She also discovered that Chuan was wearing an identical ring on his hand, but one size larger. I thought to myself, are these wedding rings? Her heart, which had been as cold as ice for thousands of years, actually began to be moved. I don't know why, but I always feel that Chuan is not as he appears to be. Most of the time it's just pretend. If he really is a person without great luck and talent for cultivation, why would a mythical beast like the 9-tailed fox be willing to follow him? Okay, honey, have a good rest. I'm going to sleep first. After Chuan finished speaking, he took out the old friend that had been with him for a long time, spread it on the floor, and lay down, all in one go without any drag. Mu Qingyang looked at Chuan's figure with his back to him, not knowing what was going on in her mind. He turned over and lay down, gently closing his eyes. This time, she actually fell asleep. On the other hand, Chuan did not sleep all night. Chapter 20, The Wedding Day, Showing Off One's Talents Part 1. No words were spoken that night. I don't know if it was Chuan's words that made Mu Qingyang feel at ease or something, but she actually slept soundly. At her level, she no longer needed sleep to replenish her energy, but she fell asleep last night for the first time ever. On the other hand, Chuan did not sleep all night. If I had to ask why, it was because I was nervous. After all, getting married has never happened to him, either in his past life or in this life. Overall, this was also his first time. "Wife, are you awake?" Chuan said softly while lying on the ground. Mu Qingyang's face turned red. "I actually fell asleep last night. What did I look like when I was asleep? Did Chuan see it all?" Countless images flashed through Mu Qingyang's mind. "Your Majesty." At this time, there were knocks and shouts from outside the door. It was those maids. Today was their wedding day, and the maids were going to put a phoenix crown on Mu Qingyang. "I'll go out first, wife," Chuan said. Then he opened the door to let the maid in, and prepared to leave the bedroom. But just as he was about to leave, he was stopped by the maid. "Your Majesty, you also need to stay and change your clothes," one of the maids said softly. Chuan then remembered that although he was very handsome, he still had to dress up for his wedding. Then he sat down and started letting the maid play with him. An hour passed. Chuan just sat there motionless until he finally finished it. At this time, Chuan had an exceptionally fair oval face, sword-like eyebrows, star-like eyes, and a handsome face. He looked extremely dazzling, and with his tall stature of over 1.8 meters, he looked even more elegant. Looking at Mu Qingyang, her black hair fell like a waterfall, her tall body stood slender, and then looking at her flawless face, with red lips, fair complexion, white teeth and majestic eyebrows, she was an unrivaled beauty. The two of them standing together seemed like a perfect match made in heaven. The maid beside them was stunned for a few moments as she looked at the two of them. "Let's go, wife," Chuan said to Mu Qingyang. Holding her hand, Mu Qingyang did not resist, and the two of them walked out of the bedroom. Outside, people from many forces also arrived at Xianyuan Palace one by one. The Sword Pavilion Qingshan Sword Emperor and Chongjian Emperor came to celebrate the wedding of the Empress and gave her 3 enlightenment pills. A servant from Xianyuan Palace shouted, "It's actually the enlightenment pill. This Qingshan Sword Emperor is really generous, but will he have any grudges in his heart?" A group of people hid in a corner and started discussing. Everyone in the entire Penglai region knows that the Qingshan Sword Emperor has long been in love with the Empress. But the Empress's partner is not him, but a useless disciple. I wonder how he feels about this. Pure your mind, calm your mind, she's just a woman. The Heavy Sword Emperor, who was flying side by side with the Qingshan Sword Emperor, spoke. Qingshan Sword Emperor was silent for a while, then said, "Don't worry, senior brother. I understand." The Heavy Sword Emperor nodded and said nothing. The Holy Lord of Yaokai Holy Land came to celebrate the wedding of the Empress and gave her a Sansheng flower. Everyone who heard this was shocked. Sansheng Hua? I didn't expect it to be such a divine object. It seems that the Saint Lord of Yaokai has a very good relationship with the Skyfire Empress. You know, the Sansheng flower is a magical object that warms the soul. There are not many things that can warm the soul. The Saint Lord of Yaokai is called Empress Charming Heart, and she has nothing to do with Empress Skyfire. Are they on good terms? There was a lot of discussion in the audience, but they were all from outside forces. In fact, Mu Qingyang and the Saint Lord of Yaokai do have a very good relationship. They both entered the imperial realm one after another and became the two empresses of the Penglai region. They are both rivals and close friends. However, when Chuan heard this, he was stunned. The Holy Lord of Yaokai Holy Land. Isn't that the place where he signed in before? When he was helping Yaokai Saint Lord awaken her divine body and entered her heart, he didn't see anything about Mu Qingyang. The Empress Xiao of the Xiao clan has come to congratulate the Empress on her wedding and has brought 3 imperial talismans. Next came the emperors from other forces. However, the gifts sent were not as surprising as the Wudao pill and the Sansheng flower. Thank you to the leaders of all the major forces for coming to congratulate the Empress on her wedding. Please take a seat. As all the people from various forces took their seats, it was time for Mu Qingyang and Chuan to show up. Under the gaze of everyone, Mu Qingyang and Chuan appeared hand in hand, and the two instantly became the only focus of attention in the whole audience. However, what Chuan didn't see was that Qingshan Sword Emperor was watching this scene from the audience with his fists clenched and a cold and dull face. Pure your mind. Calm down. The Heavy Sword Emperor naturally noticed it and reminded. After the two figures appeared, the Holy Lord of Yaokai naturally saw them. When she saw Chuan, her eyes were full of shock. It's you? Are you Sister Qingyan's husband? The Holy Lord of Yaokai murmured softly. She didn't expect that this person was Chuan. Ever since Chuan left the Holy Land of Yaokai, she would think of this young and somewhat mean man from time to time. When I saw you again today, I didn't expect that you would be in this capacity. Thank you all for coming to celebrate this emperor's wedding. Mu Qingyang looked at the people below and spoke slowly. Chuan, standing aside, was actually a little nervous, mainly because the scene was too grand. There were at least tens of thousands of people off the field, all of whom came to celebrate his and Mu Qingyang's wedding. Although he has now entered the emperor realm, the sudden appearance of this scene is still very shocking. May I ask the Empress, is this person your disciple from Xianyuan Palace? At this moment, a voice that destroyed the current atmosphere sounded. It was Qingshan Sword Emperor. The Qingshan Sword Emperor has indeed spoken. He really couldn't stand it. The people in the audience began to discuss. Mu Qingyan's beautiful eyes turned and she said, Chuan is indeed my disciple of Xianyuan Palace. The Qingshan Sword Emperor continued to press, then what qualifications does he have to be worthy of you? Everyone in the audience looked shocked. This Qingshan Sword Emperor actually dared to say such words in such an occasion. Mu Qingyang is angry. The aura of the imperial realm burst out instantly and rushed straight towards the Qingshan Sword Emperor. As for my man, I only need to like him. Why do you need to give me instructions? Mu Qingyang's domineering aura soared into the sky, extremely domineering. Her voice echoed throughout the Shenyuan palace. At this time, the Heavy Sword Emperor could no longer bear it, and stopped the Qingshan Sword Emperor with one hand and said, "Qingshan, calm down." Then he said to Mu Qingyang, "Empress, my junior brother was a little abrupt, please forgive me." Mu Qingyang stared at him coldly and said, "Take good care of your junior brother." But at this time Chuan spoke. "Pure Heart Sword Emperor, right? Where are the disciples of your sword pavilion? Do you have the guts to challenge me? Since my wife protects me so much, how could I let her down at such a critical moment? Naturally, you have to show your momentum." Everyone in the audience looked at Chuan, not knowing what he was going to do. Chapter 21, The Wedding Day, Showing Off Your Talents Part 2. Chuan stood at the highest point. Mu Qingyang frowned slightly. Even she didn't understand what he was going to do. Prize? What prize? Qingshan Sword Emperor looked at Chuan. Chuan looked at the Qingshan Sword Emperor, slowly landed in front of him, and said with a smile, "Since you said I am not worthy of the Empress, then we can have a competition to win the prize." "Oh, then how do you say we compete?" Qingshan Sword Emperor looked at Chuan. "I challenge all the disciples of your sword pavilion alone," Chuan said lightly. Although their voice was not loud, it was extremely harsh in everyone's ears. One person challenges all the disciples of Jianga. Does he have a hidden card or is he just talking nonsense? However, Chuan was not worried at all. He was already at the emperor level, so how could he be defeated by a few disciples? Qingshan Sword Emperor stared at Chuan, and after a breath he said, "Okay. But if you lose, you will voluntarily withdraw from Shenyuan Palace and give up marrying the Empress." Qingshan Sword Emperor said immediately. Judging from the performance of Qingshan Sword Emperor, everyone knew what he was going to do, but they didn't expect it to be so direct. "Okay, I agree. If I win, you take everyone in your sword pavilion and get out of Shenyuan Palace." Chuan said this domineeringly, not at all inferior. Everyone in Shenyuan Palace didn't know where Chuan got the confidence to say this. They all knew that Chuan was a waste with no talent for cultivation at all. However, Shan'an Lin Wanru still believed in him very much. After all, he had left an extremely deep impression on them in the secular world before, with his momentum of fighting for the whole world. Each force on the field had its own ideas. The Saint Lord of Yao Kai looked at Chuan's figure, slightly absent-minded. Mu Qingyang also stared at him closely, and Chuan walked quickly to her. "Believe me," Chuan whispered in her ear. Mu Qingyang looked at him without saying anything, then turned around and started the battle arena. Chuan jumped up and stood on the fighting stage. He stared at the people from Jian Pavilion below and said, "Who will be the first one?" "You arrogant bastard, today I will make you pay for what you did." A young man leaped out from among the people in Jianga, jumped onto the fighting stage, and pointed his sword at Chuan. "Remember, the person who defeated you today is called Danteng. Prepare to die." "What? Pain in the balls." Danteng thrust out with his sword. Chuan didn't even bother to look at this disciple who was only at the 5th level of Qi training. He was slapped and flew away. Mu Qingyang was also a little surprised. She didn't expect Chuan to defeat the Qi training realm with one blow. "Humph, you are lying to me," Mu Qingyang murmured softly. Until yesterday, Chuan was only at the 1st level of Qi training in front of him. How could a person at the 1st level of Qi training defeat a person at the 5th level of Qi training with just one move? "Next," Chuan said on the stage. A young girl leaped into the air, jumped onto the battle stage, and shouted sternly, "Watch me avenge senior brother Danteng." The 8th level of Qi training realm, unexpectedly, is even stronger than that pain in the ass. Another palm strike sent the girl flying out of the arena. Is there anyone stronger? Is Jian Ji so weak? Chuan taunted everyone in Jianga. However, these words were spoken while looking at the Qingshan Sword Emperor. "Jian Wu, you go ahead," Qingshan Sword Emperor said coldly. "Yes, master." The man named Jian Wu stepped onto the fighting stage. Make your move, he said coldly, staring at Yunchuan. This Jianwu is much stronger than the previous two ugly ones. He is actually at the first level of Gi realm. He can even be an emperor in this secular world. That's what you said. Draw your sword. Since the other party has told him to make a move, then he should just make it himself. A cold flash of the sword appeared, and a little bit of blood oozed from Jianwu's neck. Go down by yourself. At this time, Yunchuan had already appeared behind Jianwu. A trace of cold sweat also seeped out of Jianwu's forehead. If this was an enemy, I would have been beheaded. Jian Yi! Come on! Qingshan Sword Emperor shouted. He was already a little annoyed that a disciple had ruined the reputation of his sword pavilion. At this time, a young man holding the sword box slowly walked onto the stage. Slowly took out two swords from it. Yunchuan was also a little surprised that he was a man who used two swords. The third level of the Divine Fire Realm. Yunchuan thought to himself. I didn't expect that he was at the Divine Fire Realm. You know, the strongest disciple of Shenyuan Palace is only at the 9th level of Gi Realm. It's amazing that this sword pavilion is so powerful. One sword seals the sky. Jian Yi said lightly. The surrounding aura solidified instantly, and sword energy broke through the air and rushed straight towards Yunchuan. Kenshin. I didn't expect that Jian Yi was the same as Qingshan Sword Emperor and also possessed a sword heart. However, Yunchuan blocked this sword with one hand. When Mu Qingyang saw Yunchuan's current performance, she had already scolded him 1,000 times in her heart. This bastard actually dared to lie to me. His realm is clearly higher than the Divine Fire Realm, but he deliberately concealed it. Mu Qingyang looked at Yunchuan and stomped her feet in anger. I was so worried about him at the beginning. I shouldn't have done that. Sword 1, right? Look carefully, this is how you use a sword. Yunchuan jumped up, took out the broken blade sword, and swung it out. God-killing slash. This sword actually cut the fighting stage in half, and Jian Yi looked at the huge crack on the stage under his feet. The two swords in his hands fell directly, and drops of water fell to the ground. Jian Yi was so scared that he peed his pants. Yunchuan covered his nose and said to the Qingshan Sword Emperor, Hey, is there anyone else in your sword pavilion? Qingshan Sword Emperor looked at Yunchuan, his whole body trembling, but it was just a trembling of anger. However, Yunchuan's sword just now also made him feel a little nervous. And Yunchuan's sword just now also demonstrated his swordsmanship. Another genius with a sword heart. Mu Qingyang was also confused. She didn't expect Yunchuan also had a sword heart. No one in Shenyuan Palace had expected that Yunchuan was hiding so deeply. Not to mention that he possessed the sword heart, his strength to defeat a warrior in the Divine Fire Realm had already surpassed that of all the disciples in Shenyuan Palace. Emperor Qingshan's sword looked at Yunchuan's figure with his fists clenched, wishing he could tear Yunchuan to pieces alive. Emperor Chongjian held him aside, allowing him to maintain a bit of rationality. However, he is not afraid if Qingshan's Sword Emperor suddenly comes on the field to kill Yunchuan. He can block it at least at the first level of the Emperor realm. At worst, he can call out and again. What can he be afraid of 2 against 1? Qingshan Sword Emperor, now, can you lead the people of your sword pavilion to roll out of Shenyuan Palace gracefully? Yunchuan looked at Qingshan Sword Emperor with a contemptuous look. Qingshan, let's go. The Heavy Sword Emperor directly pulled the Pure Heart Sword Emperor and disappeared on the spot. Then his voice was heard again, all disciples of Jian Ji, return to Jian Ji. All the sects and forces still in Shenyuan Palace were stunned. I didn't expect that Jiang'er would actually be rejected and fall into Yunchuan's hands. I didn't he dare to do anything and could only walk away in shame. Everyone knew that the strongest person present was the Empress. Both Qingshan Sword Emperor and Chongjian Emperor were not as strong as the Empress. This was why they did not dare to take action. Chapter 22 promised the Empress to guide Shina. After the storm passed, no one else mentioned the matter of Jiang'er anymore, and the wedding celebration of Yunchuan and Mu Qingyang also came to an end. Yao Yu, the Holy Lord of Yao Kai, also found Mu Qingyang. They turned out to be good friends. Yunchuan had not expected this. He just hoped that Yao Yu would not let anything about him slip. This world is not like the previous life where people have to have a banquet to celebrate weddings. In this world, attending wedding ceremonies is just a formality. After all, those who practice Taoism don't need to eat. When Mu Qingyang was pulled away by Yao Yu, She said that she would deal with him after returning. Why did she lie to her? I guess I'll have a hard time when I get home today. Soon, the night arrived. Yunchuan also returned to the temple. Yao Yu had already left, and Mu Qingyang was also sitting alone in the temple. Yunchuan tiptoed in. Stop. What are you doing sneaking around like that? Mu Qingyang's voice rang out in the darkness. Hey, wife. You haven't slept yet. Yunchuan said embarrassedly. Sleep? Do I need to sleep? Mu Qingyang said. Yunchuan didn't say anything and stood in the corner like a little wife. Why did you lie to me? Mu Qingyang looked at Yunchuan and said. There was a sense of resentment in her tone, and perhaps she herself did not realize that her tone had begun to change. My dear wife, I don't mean to lie to you, but there are some things I tell you and you won't believe me. Yunchuan said helplessly. In fact, he didn't say it because of this reason. If a person was a waste 2 months ago, and suddenly told you that he was an emperor, would you believe it? Mu Qingyang stared at Yunchuan blankly and said, Why can't I believe it? I don't know what you were like before. Isn't it normal for you to hide your realm and tell me your true realm? Yunchuan couldn't help but smile bitterly. My wife's train of thought is really strange. Yunchuan dared to guarantee that if he really told Mu Qingyang, she would definitely think that she was possessed by an evil spirit. A woman's mouth is a lie. Okay, wife, I will never lie to you again. Yunchuan had no choice but to promise. By the way, Yao Yu, also known as the Saint of Yaokai, told me that she wants you to go to the holy land of Yaokai to undergo the baptism of Yaokai, but for my sake, just remember to go. Since Yunchuan said so, Mu Qingyang stopped asking questions and continued to say what Yao Yu said. Yunchuan smiled bitterly, wondering what Yao Yu was thinking. Hadn't he Yaokai already been baptized? But I had to agree now. Mu Qingyang was still angry, and if I refused, wouldn't it be easier to arouse suspicion? Although the two of them were getting married today, Yunchuan was already sleeping on the floor. It's not that Yunchuan wasn't moved by Mu Qingyang. Besides, who wouldn't be moved by a woman like Mu Qingyang? From the time they met until now, apart from physical intimacy, they have had very little communication. Before this, Mu Qingyang had always treated Yunchuan as a shield. I don't have any feelings for Yunchuan, but I have developed a slight interest in him during this period. However, Yunchuan did not force it. He was not the kind of person who would force others, even if his strength surpassed Mu Qingyang in the future. Mu Qingyang's realm is now at the 7th level of the Emperor realm. Even if Yunchuan is at the 1st level of the Emperor realm and has the Dark Clone, he will not be defeated by her. Yunchuan, what realm are you in now? I haven't asked you yet. Yunchuan, who was lying down thinking about something, was suddenly awakened by Mu Qingyang's words. As for me, I am at the 5th level of the Divine Fire realm. After considering many aspects, Yunchuan still did not reveal his true realm, but Mu Qingyang, who was at the 5th level of Divine Fire, would definitely believe it. Oh. Mu Qingyang said, oh, and then the two of them didn't communicate anymore. Indeed, she believed Yunchuan when he said he was at the 5th level of the Divine Fire realm. If Yunchuan broke through to the Emperor realm, he would experience a heavenly tribulation that would cause the Emperor to fall, and there was no way she would not be able to detect the energy generated by the heavenly tribulation. However, she could not have expected that Yunchuan had a system, which directly blocked his entire system. Even if it was a heavenly calamity, it would not be able to fall on his head. Early morning. Yunchuan opened his eyes and woke up, but the beauty was no longer in the room. Greetings, Lord Emperor. A loud voice reached Yunchuan's ears. I had just woken up and my eyes were barely open yet, but I was startled awake by this noise. There were dozens of elders standing outside the temple gate. They actually came to pay him a visit. The elders of Shenyuan Palace are usually the most arrogant. Many of them have bullied Yunchuan before, and their realms are almost at the Divine Fire realm. But now they come to pay him a visit. It's such a polar reversal, it's a bit disgusting. Are they still afraid that he will retaliate against them? Yunchuan looked at the dozens of elders, cleared his throat and said, Elders, what advice do you have for coming to this temple so early in the morning? Dozens of elders looked at Yunchuan with forced smiles, not knowing how to start talking. After 4 or 5 breaths, one of the people in the 3rd level of the Divine Fire realm named Elder Xieran spoke up, Lord Emperor, since you are already married to Lady Empress, then naturally your words are equivalent to Lady Empress' words. Yunchuan was speechless, then smiled and said, "Oh? What does that have to do with your visit today?" "Of course there is a connection, Your Majesty. You can dispatch us elders at will if you need anything," Elder Xiaoran said immediately. "Oh, of course, since Elder Xiaoran said so, I will respectfully obey your command." After saying that, Yunchuan left immediately. He didn't want to stay with this group of hypocritical fence-sitters for even a second longer. Dozens of elders were left standing there, but since they didn't see Yunchuan going away, they didn't dare to leave easily. After all, Yunchuan didn't tell them to leave on their own before he left. It's really like a cycle of change. 2 months ago, you ignored me, but 2 months later, I am out of your reach. However, Yunchuan really didn't have any good feelings towards this group of elders. They were all snobs, so he just let them do whatever they wanted. "I don't care about these things." System sign in. Ding, congratulations to their host for signing in successfully and gaining 30 years of cultivation. Let's merge. You can no longer get any good things by signing in at Shenyuan Palace now, just some ordinary things. You still have to complete the tasks. The rewards from the tasks are much richer than these. As I walked, I arrived at where Shina and Lin Wanru lived. It was just right that I could guide her in her cultivation. Now Shina has broken through to the Qi training stage. This speed is really fast. If Yunchuan didn't have a cheat, he would never have met such a genius. "Big brother, you are here." Shina saw Yunchuan's figure at a glance. He ran over with a smile. Chapter 23, Mu Qingyang takes action, the Demon Emperor attacks. "Shina, have you been lazy in your training recently?" Yunchuan said with a smile. Shina quickly replied, "Big brother, Shina is not lazy, I practice hard every day." "Okay, today I will test your Shenyuan code practice." As he said that, he put his hand on Shina's dantian. A stream of Shenyuan qi slowly entered Shina's dantian. Yunchuan was shocked, it was so fast. He didn't expect that Shina would practice the Shenyuan code so quickly and has now entered the middle stage. I heard from Mu Qingyang that when she first practiced the Shenyuan code, it took her a month to enter the middle stage. And Shina was able to reach the middle stage in just 1 month, which can be said to be extremely talented, even though she had Yunchuan's guidance. However, Yunchuan himself didn't practice much, so he didn't learn any useful experience at all. He immediately sat down and began to practice the Shenyuan code, letting Shina watch. The Shenyuan codex was activated, and a powerful aura began to swirl around Yunchuan and violently rushed towards his dantian. However, Yunchuan, who closed his eyes, did not see that all the spiritual energy of the Shenyuan Palace had been absorbed by him. The other disciples of Shenyuan Palace who were practicing were also stunned by this scene. "I have been practicing in vain, why is all my spiritual energy gone?" All the spiritual energy in the entire Shenyuan Palace rushed to one place, and all the spiritual energy around them was sucked away. "Who is it? Where's my aura? Shit, what's going on?" Many disciples started cursing. "I have absolutely no idea what is going on." Yunchuan, who was in the process of cultivation, had no idea about these things. He was just practicing some Shenyuan codes. However, what he didn't know was that the destructive power caused by the super divine body's operation of the Shenyuan code was very strong. After all, the Shenyuan Codex cannot be considered a very powerful martial art. It is only considered a top-notch martial art in the Penglai region. If it is in the world above the Penglai region, it cannot be considered a top-notch martial art. Shina was also stunned. She didn't expect that her elder brother was so strong. The amount of spiritual energy he absorbed by practicing the Shenyuan code was almost thousands of times more than hers. But Yunchuan just thought it was normal. Bang! Breakthrough. Yunchuan didn't expect that after practicing the Shenyuan code, he actually broke through to the second level of the Emperor realm. The 30 years of cultivation gained from signing into the system just now failed to make a breakthrough. Now he actually achieved a breakthrough just by practicing the Shenyuan code. It seems that there will be many benefits if I practice the Shenyuan code more in the future. After stopping the operation of the Shenyuan code, the spiritual energy of the entire Shenyuan palace returned to normal, and all the disciples were able to absorb spiritual energy. "Shina, let me see how you operate it." Yunchuan stood up and said to Shina. Shina nodded, sat down, and began to slowly practice the Shenyuan code. A trace of spiritual energy began to flow into Shina's body, but the speed was getting faster and faster, and the spiritual energy was increasing. Yunchuan couldn't help but look up to Shina. He didn't expect that she had such a high level of comprehension. She could achieve this level just by practicing it once. It seems that more spiritual power is absorbed than before. It seems that the time for breaking through to the later stage is approaching and it shouldn't take much time. At this moment, Mu Qingyang was practicing in a secret room. Suddenly, she frowned, as if she sensed something. Demon. Mu Qingyang murmured heavily. Yunchuan, who was guiding Shina, also felt something was wrong. An aura permeated into the Shenyuan palace, which was very similar to the aura of the several demon emperors he killed last time. This? Demonic energy. Yunchuan felt this breath. I walked outside the temple and looked at the sky. It was broad daylight and noon, but the sky was a little dark. At this time, Mu Qingyang appeared above Shenyuan Palace and used her spiritual energy to transmit the message to every corner of Shenyuan Palace. All Shenyuan Palace disciples, prepare for battle. Activate the Shenyuan defense formation. When Yunchuan saw Mu Qingyang appear, he knew that trouble was about to come, otherwise he would not have opened the Shenyuan defense array. Step to success. Yunchuan stood beside Mu Qingyang and said softly, "Wife, it's okay, I'm here. You go back quickly, your divine fire realm cultivation can't stop it at all." Mu Qingyang was a little angry. Even at this time, Yunchuan still didn't forget to make fun of her. Yunchuan didn't say anything, but went downstairs anyway. But he called upon his dark clone and asked him to hide himself and secretly follow Mu Qingyang to protect her. But I am not idle, so I will go out and find out how many people from the demon sect have come. However, before Yunchuan went out to investigate, a man from the demon sect in the Soul Realm shouted outside the Shenyuan Palace. Skyfire Empress, it seems that you, the righteous sect, are not really righteous. While our Lord Demon Emperor was fighting with you, you actually sent people to sweep our blood demon sect which was unguarded. Today, we are here to seek justice. After hearing this, Mu Qingyang was a little confused. What do you mean by sending people to sweep across the blood demon sect? Yunchuan stood there in a daze. So this was the incident, but it had been so long and he just discovered it. I don't know why the blood demon sect was swept away, but since you dare to invade my Shenyuan palace, I will never be reconciled with you. Mu Qingyang said bluntly. No matter what, the feud between their righteous faction and the evil sect has long been destined, and no one can change it. Yunchuan looked at the 10 storage rings in his hands. These were the result of the hard work of the blood demon sect. However, these free things were really great. Then there is nothing for us to talk about. Skyfire Queen. People of the demon clan, come on. A majestic voice was heard. It was the demon emperor of the blood demon sect, the demon emperor Matuor. Shenyuan defensive formation, open. Mu Qingyang shouted. Then he rushed out of Shenyuan Palace alone. Yunchuan covered his forehead tightly, wondering why his wife was so impulsive. Fortunately, the dark clone is with her now. Yunchuan believed in Mu Qingyang's strength, but what if the demon sect had a trap? Didn't you get fooled last time? You got hurt, but you still didn't learn your lesson this time. After the storm is over, it is necessary to give Mu Qingyang a good lecture. But he still put on the Shenyan cloak and followed. As expected, there is more than one demon emperor outside. In addition to the blood demon sect, there are also 2 demon emperors from the demon king sect, the evil dragon demon emperor and the sword demon emperor. Mu Qingyang is at the 7th level of the emperor realm, while demon emperor Matuor is only at the 5th level of the emperor realm, and the other 2 are both at the 6th level of the demon emperor realm. Humph. That's what the demons are like. Do you want to suppress me with numbers? Mu Qingyang looked at the 3 demon emperors and said with disdain. Alas, Yunchuan was watching this scene in the dark. Why was his silly wife trying to reason with the demon sect? The people of the demon sect are the kind of people who will never give up until they achieve their goal, no matter what means they use. Heavenly fire is coming. Mu Qingyang shouted, and a strong breath of fire descended from the sky. The 3 demon emperors used their defenses to resist. Then the 3 of them gave Mu Qingyang a powerful blow together. Devil sword slashes, bloodthirsty devil palm, evil dragon breaks. The 3 attacked at the same time. Mu Qingyang was not afraid at all and rushed forward. Chapter 24, Defeat the Demon Emperor, Movie Emperor Yunchuan. Mu Qingyang is at the 7th level of the Emperor realm, so she doesn't need to be afraid of the demon emperors at the 6th and 5th levels of the Emperor realm. With the blessing of the heavenly fire divine body, her combat power is close to the 8th level of the Emperor realm. The fight with the 3 demon emperors was quite intense, but the 3 demon emperors were always retreating, which made Chuan feel a little strange. The 3 demon emperors may not be able to completely defeat Mu Qingyang, but they shouldn't be so disadvantaged, right? Suddenly thinking of something, Chuan's face became heavy. Oh no! This stubborn wife has been fooled. Chuan thought to himself and then chased after him. Now the 4 of them were getting farther and farther away from Shenyuan Palace, but the demon emperor and his 2 companions suddenly stopped. Mu Qingyang was a little confused. The demon emperor Mo Tuor shouted at this time, "Devil Emperor Soul Devourer, Demon King for Direction Seal." As soon as he finished speaking, a demon emperor at the 6th level of the Emperor realm appeared in secret, the soul-devouring demon emperor. It turned out that there were 4 demon emperors this time, and one of them was waiting in secret for Mu Qingyang to take the bait. Mu Qingyang just reacted at this time, but it was too late. The Demon Kings for Direction Seal directly imprisoned her. The Demon Kings for Direction Seal was jointly cast by 3 demon emperors of the 6th level and 1 demon emperor of the 5th level. Even she could not escape. Damn it, how dare you plot against me? Mu Qingyang's fairy face revealed a trace of solemnity at this moment. The Demon Kings for Direction Seal will eat away at her spiritual power bit by bit, and she will eventually die because her spiritual power is completely gone. The previous leader of the Sword Pavilion died from this move. Heavenly fire is extinguished. A blow was thrown, but it was like hitting something above, and it couldn't release any power at all. At this moment, Chuan also rushed here and saw that his wife had been infected. Damn it, how dare you bully my wife? Who gave you the courage? Chuan shouted loudly. The Dark Clone also appeared beside him, and the 2 of them attacked together on the Demon Kings for Direction Seal. Almost all attacks from the inside out of the Demon Kings for Direction Seal will be absorbed, but it is different from the outside in. As long as Chuan's attack strength exceeds the 6th level of the Emperor realm, he can shatter the Demon Kings for Direction Seal. Mu Qingyang was also shocked by the sudden appearance of these 2 people. One was Chuan and who was the other one? But he felt more angry. He had told Chuan to stay put, but now neither of them could run away. Bang! The combined attack of Chuan and the Dark Clone actually created a gap in the Demon Kings for Sided Seal. The 4 demon emperors then discovered that Chuan and a man in black robe had appeared. Who are you? How dare you stop us for demon emperors? The soul-devouring demon emperor roared madly. You're bullying my wife? I'll fucking kill you. Chuan was no longer low-key, and his 2nd level of the Emperor realm was fully displayed. Together with his Dark Clone, he attacked the soul-devouring demon emperor. God-killing slash. With one sword, the soul-devouring demon emperor's right leg was cut off. Asshole. The soul-devouring demon emperor roared madly and attacked Chuan. Without the soul-devouring demon emperor, the Demon Kings for Directional Seal naturally could not trap Mu Qingyang, not to mention that Chuan had cut a gap in it before. Mu Qingyang shouted softly. The Demon Kings for Seals suddenly shattered. Chuan and the Dark Clone together resisted the attack of the soul-devouring demon emperor. Soul Eater. Let's go first. Demon Emperor Mo Tuor and Demon Emperor Mo Jian said together. At this moment, the soul-devouring demon emperor was so angry at Chuan that he just wanted to kill him and didn't hear what the Demon Emperor Ma Tuor and the Demon Sword Emperor said at all. Demon Sword, Evil Dragon, let's go first. The Demon Emperor Mota said to the other 2 demon emperors. The 3 looked at Soul Eater and ran away angrily. The escaped Mu Qingyang naturally did not chase after the 3 demon emperors. Chuan was being pressed step by step by the soul-devouring demon emperor, so he had to rescue him first. Damn it, you really think I'm afraid of you? 10,000 swords returned to the sect. A sword thrust out with overwhelming power. The power unleashed by this sword is comparable to the 5th level of the Imperial realm. At this moment, the Dark Clone suddenly appeared behind the soul-devouring demon emperor and pierced his chest with a sword. Dark Destruction, the Dark Clone said in a low voice. Bang! The soul-devouring demon emperor's body exploded directly, while his soul floated in the air. I'll remember you. The next time I see you, I will devour your soul completely. The soul-devouring demon emperor shouted angrily, and then his soul disappeared into the blood. When one reaches the Emperor realm, the physical body is no longer the most important thing. The most important thing is the soul. The soul is immortal, and even if the physical body is destroyed thousands of times, it will not die. All one needs to do is find a new physical body to recover. After the soul-devouring demon emperor left, Mu Qingyang also rushed here. Seeing this, Yunchuan quickly made the dark clone disappear, and the dark clone was speechless, but still disappeared into the darkness. Although the dark clone is a clone, he has his own thoughts, which also shows the horror of the god-level clone technique. Yunchuan quickly forced himself to spit out a mouthful of blood. When Mu Qingyang saw him, he just spit out a mouthful of blood. Yunchuan thought, I'm like this now, you shouldn't say anything to me anymore, right? After all, he just said yesterday that he would never lie to Mu Qingyang again, but he was caught red-handed today. Yunchuan. Mu Qingyang's heart tightened when she saw Yunchuan vomiting blood, and she hurried down to support him. Yunchuan, how are you? Mu Qingyang looked at Yunchuan anxiously. Ahem. Wife, as long as you're okay. After coughing up 2 more mouthfuls of blood, Mu Qingyang's expression became even more nervous. I have to say, it's a shame that Yunchuan didn't win the Best Actor award for his acting skills. Don't scare me, Yunchuan. I have healing pills. Mu Qingyang stuffed all the healing pills on her body into his mouth. I was just thinking about how to scold him, but he ignored his own safety and came to save him alone. So what if he was at the 2nd level of the Emperor realm? Facing the soul-devouring demon emperor at the 6th level of the Emperor realm, he would definitely be powerless. At this time, Mu Qingyang had already forgotten that there was a man in black robe who came with Yunchuan. Her whole mind was now on Yunchuan. Ahem, wife, I was just watching them bully you. You are my wife, how could I stand behind you and ignore you? Yunchuan gave a kind smile that looked like he was about to die. At this moment, Mu Qingyang was almost crying in anxiety. She had never experienced such a scene before. From childhood to adulthood, she had never experienced family affection and love, and she didn't know the feeling of separation from life and death. In this situation, she really didn't know what to do. Yunchuan looked at Mu Qingyang's red eyes, tears already flowing out, and wondered if he had overacted. Wife, I'm fine. The healing medicine you gave me is working. I won't die. Yunchuan quickly restored a little redness to his defeated face. Mu Qingyang looked at Yunchuan's face, which was no longer so pale, and she felt a little less worried, but she still couldn't hold back the tears in her eyes. Wife, I lied to you again. I am actually in the Emperor realm, not the Divine Fire realm. Go ahead and hit me and scold me. Yunchuan said weakly. Chapter 25 Mu Qingyang's concern, the land of fallen gods. Hearing Yunchuan say this, Mu Qingyang felt even more guilty. After suffering such a serious injury, the first thing she thought of was not herself, but the promise he made to her. Mu Qingyang really had feelings for Yunchuan at this moment. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Get well soon and I won't scold you anymore. Mu Qingyang said while hugging Yunchuan. The tears flowed more and more, becoming more and more uncontrollable, and my eyes became red. Really? Honey. Yunchuan looked weak, but he was smiling inside. My wife is good in every way except that she is a little stubborn and has a bad temper. Yeah, really, let's go back to Shenyuan Palace first. Mu Qingyang wiped away her tears, picked up Yunchuan and flew towards Shenyuan Palace. Yunchuan felt the fullness of Mu Qingyang's breasts, they smelled so good. The first time I met Mu Qingyang, I was pushed back by her, but I didn't feel anything. This was the first time I had close contact with Mu Qingyang other than that time. Soon the two of them flew over Shenyuan Palace. Mu Qingyang transmitted a message to the entire Shenyuan Palace. Shenyuan Palace has come into contact with the Shenyuan Defense Formation, and the demon sect has retreated. Then he carried Yunchuan back to the temple. Yunchuan, you should have a good rest first. I'll go get you some healing medicine. After saying that, he put Yunchuan on the bed and walked out of the room to get the healing medicine. Watching Mu Qingyang leave, Yunchuan finally breathed a sigh of relief. It was tiring to keep acting like this. But it was really enjoyable to see Mu Qingyang caring about him. A peerless fairy is busy worrying about you and caring about you. He used to not dare to believe that such a thing would happen to him. Here I come. Yunchuan quickly lay down and pretended to be weak again. Mu Qingyang also entered the room and took out dozens of healing medicines. Yunchuan, come. Mu Qingyang picked up a pill and stuffed it into his mouth. Yunchuan had no choice but to swallow it. He was not injured in the first place, and if he kept taking these pills, he would burst. Wife, I'm fine. You don't have to give me these healing pills. Chuan said somewhat uncomfortably. He was really uncomfortable. The quality of these pills was already high, not to mention that they were healing pills with a strong life breath. It was like a virgin eating a tiger penis and holding it back again and again. Really? Are you okay, Kumokawa? Mu Qingyang couldn't quite believe it, but still asked worriedly. Yeah, don't worry, wife, I just need to rest for a while. Chuan said quickly. Okay, then you should have a good rest. Mu Qingyang said and left the room. Chuan also sat up. The pills had made his blood and energy surge, but he had no place to vent it. He felt really uncomfortable. His wife was really generous. She stuffed the whole thing into his mouth. System, is there any task? Chuan said. The system hasn't given him any tasks for a long time. Now, apart from the tasks, the cultivation level from ordinary sign INS can't satisfy him at all. He can't break through to a new level even after 30 years of cultivation. I estimated that it would take me about 100 or several hundred years of practice to break through. Ding, according to their host's request, the task is issued, go to the center of the fallen god land to sign in. Chuan was a little confused. He didn't even know where the place where the gods fell was. It seems I have to find time to ask my wife. Then he sat cross-legged and practiced the Shenyuan code. He felt that the speed of breakthrough was quite fast. He did not break through in the 30 years of cultivation rewarded by the system, but after practicing the Shenyuan code for a while, he did break through. As he activated the Shenyuan code, the spiritual energy of the entire Shenyuan palace surged towards him at the same time. Mu Qingyang, who was looking for a holy medicine to heal Chuan at this moment, also felt it. This was the breath of practicing the Shenyuan code. The spiritual energy of the entire Shenyuan palace was going to the temple, and Chuan was the only one practicing the Shenyuan code in the temple. Chuan? Why don't you take a good rest instead of practicing? Mu Qingyang muttered to herself, her tone sounding a bit resentful that Chuan didn't get enough rest. At this moment, Chuan felt the spiritual energy in his dantian, which was extremely vast and madly pouring in, as if all of them were fighting for this piece of territory. Is it going to break through again? Feeling the uncontrollable aura within myself, I felt like I was about to break through again. He didn't expect that it would be so easy to break through by practicing the Shenyuan code. Mu Qingyang also practiced this technique, but why didn't she make the same breakthrough as him? After stopping to practice the Shenyuan code, Chuan's breath has stabilized. Huh, I have reached the third level of the Emperor realm. Feeling the power radiating from his body, he is now several times stronger than when he was at the second level of the Emperor realm. Chuan, why did you start practicing? At this time, Mu Qingyang's voice came. A graceful figure appeared at the door and looked at Chuan angrily. Wife, I'm fine now, don't worry. Chuan said. Looking at Mu Qingyang's worried expression, a feeling of sweetness emerged in my heart. Mu Qingyang didn't say anything else to him and sat at the head of the bed. Looking at Chuan, Mu Qingyang paused for a few seconds and then asked, Chuan, have you been hiding your realm? Chuan was a little confused by this sudden question. He didn't expect that the question would come back to the original topic. Well, wife, I was originally in the Soul realm, and after I left Shenyuan Palace, I encountered some opportunities and broke through to the Emperor realm. Chuan said slowly. Now this is the most convincing statement he can make, and he won't believe any other explanation. Mu Qingyang didn't say anything. The fact that Chuan was willing to risk his own life to save her in front of the four demon emperors meant that she was still very important in his heart, and he shouldn't have any other purpose. I trust you. 10 breaths passed, and Mu Qingyang said slowly with a smile. At this moment, Mu Qingyang felt that she could slowly get along with Chuan. This man was not like other men. When he saw her, he only wanted to possess her body and status. But there was no such thing in Chuan's eyes. There was only protection in his eyes, nothing else. This man is different from other men. Even the Qingshan Sword Emperor has only greed in his eyes. He just wants to possess her body. Chuan looked at Mu Qingyang standing there in a daze and said, Wife, do you know where the land of the fallen gods is? Mu Qingyang came back to her senses and asked, Why are you asking this? I'm thinking about going to the place where the gods fell. Chuan said. Mu Qingyan's expression suddenly changed, and she asked worriedly, "Why are you going to the land of fallen gods? That is the most terrifying forbidden place. Although there are many opportunities, even if I go there, I will most likely not be able to get out." "No, I was just asking. An old friend of mine mentioned it." Chuan said quickly. "That's fine. The land of fallen gods is in the southernmost part of Shenyuan Palace, next to the Samsara sect. But your friend had better not go there. It's too dangerous." Mu Qingyang said truthfully. As long as Chuan is not going, that place is the most dangerous place in the entire Penglai area, and almost no one dares to go there. Chuan looked at his silly wife and smiled bitterly. Chapter 26, Evil. Go to the land of fallen gods. Mu Qingyang probably didn't expect Chuan to make friends out of nowhere. But since you asked, that's fine. In Mu Qingyang's eyes, this place where gods fall is a hopeless place from which there is no return. But is it really that scary? You can only know this kind of thing after you go there yourself. However, after the demon emperor attacked and Chuan saved Mu Qingyang despite the danger, Mu Qingyang also had an indescribable feeling for Chuan. Originally, she married Chuan just to use him as a shield, so that fewer people would come to her. However, he found that Chuan was different from others. Most of the time, she was wholeheartedly devoted to him, which made her far superior to her other suitors. Although the two are already married and had physical contact before their wedding, it was just a helpless act. Now she would still feel uncomfortable if she said she lay in the same bed with Chuan. Chuan naturally noticed this, so he didn't ask her for anything and continued to lay the three-piece suit on the floor. Chuan like this also made Mu Qingyang feel a little guilty. Mu Qingyang didn't need to sleep at all, but when she was with Chuan, she always felt like staying with him. Seeing Chuan holding the three-piece set of mats and starting to decorate his own nest on the floor, Mu Qingyang also saw it. He disregarded his own safety today and was seriously injured in order to save me, but I actually let him sleep on the floor. Seeing Chuan lying down, Mu Qingyang couldn't help but said, "Chuan, why don't you go to bed?" After saying this, Mu Qingyang turned her head shyly. Chuan, who was lying on the ground, looked surprised. "What's wrong with my wife? Has she suddenly changed her personality? Is she still shy?" Chuan was a little confused and didn't know whether he should go to bed or not. It was possible that Mu Qingyang was testing him. "Wife, are you really going to bed?" Chuan couldn't help but ask. "Hurry up, or you won't have this chance anytime soon," Mu Qingyang said loudly. "I've already told you, but you're still asking. Don't you know that I might feel shy?" "Wife, I'm coming." Chuan jumped up and jumped directly onto the bed. He doesn't look injured at all, he is 100% healthy. "Kumukawa, no. You can't touch me, just lie there." Mu Qingyang felt Chuan's dishonest hand and said nervously. "Wife, we are already an old married couple, why are you still shy?" Chuan teased Mu Qingyang. I have to say that Mu Qingyang is really beautiful, extremely beautiful. How could God be so unfair that not only gave her a perfect face, but also gave her the cultivation of an emperor? Chuan, I'm not ready yet. Please let me prepare more," Mu Qingyang said nervously. Chuan also felt that Mu Qingyang's body was extremely tense at the moment, and she was obviously trying hard not to be so nervous. "Wife, can you please call me husband?" Chuan said slowly. Mu Qingyang looked shy and said in a mosquito-like voice, "Husband, husband." "Okay, go to sleep." Chuan said with a smile. Unexpectedly, Mu Qingyang was really willing to call him husband. In that case, the relationship between the two of them could be slowly polished and there was no need to rush. Chuan did not touch her again, but instead put his arms around her chest. The reason for doing this was to make Mu Qingyang feel protected. Feeling Chuan's breathing gradually becoming even, Mu Qingyang quietly turned her head to look at him. At this time, Chuan's eyes were already closed. He had a tall nose, rosy lips, sword-like eyebrows, and long eyelashes. Mu Qingyang didn't expect that Chuan was so good-looking. As she watched, Mu Qingyang gradually fell asleep. Lying together with Chuan actually made her feel at ease, and she fell asleep without any precautions. A night passed. Mu Qingyang woke up and found that Chuan had left. Looking at her intact clothes and the same position as before, she knew that Chuan had not touched her at all last night. Otherwise, with her sensitivity, she would feel it the moment he touched her. But then she thought again, she actually called Chuan husband last night, and an expression of extreme shyness appeared on her face again. Mu Qingyang stood up and suddenly saw a note left on the bedside. I picked up the note and found it was indeed left by Chuan. Wife, I have to go out for a while to help my friend complete something. I will be back soon. Chuan Liu. Looking at the words on the note, Mu Qingyang murmured unhappily, leaving again, where do you get so much to do? Walking out of the temple and looking at the sky in the distance, it seems as if looking for the traces of Chuan's passing. At this moment, Chuan was no longer within the scope of Shenyuan Palace and was rushing madly towards the southernmost part. Shenyuan Palace is located relatively south of Penglai, so with his emperor-level strength, he can reach the destination in half a day at most. It's noon. Chuan saw the Samsara sect, which was the largest force in the southern part of the country, and its leader was at the Soul Realm. The land where gods fall is only about 10 kilometers away from the Samsara sect. However, since everyone says that the land where gods fall is extremely terrifying, it is not easy for the Samsara sect to survive here. The Samsara sect actually occupies an entire city, named Samsara City. Let us go into the city and take a look. Entering the city, it was bustling with people, as lively as the vegetable market in my previous life, and I walked into a tavern. Waiter, bring me some wine and some food. Chuan found a random seat and sat down. Soon, the wine and dishes were served, and Chuan casually asked, Waiter, where is this land of fallen gods? Sir? Are you going to the land of fallen gods? The waiter was obviously a little surprised. No, I just heard that this place where gods fall is quite famous. Chuan smiled faintly. The waiter slowed down at this time, and then said, Sir, you have asked the right person. This land of fallen gods is only 5 kilometers away from our Samsara city, 5 kilometers to the east. Many people have come here because of its reputation, but none of them have ever been out. The waiter looked around quietly again, then squatted down and whispered in Chuan's ear, It is said that there is an extremely terrifying evil demon in there, and anyone who enters the land of fallen gods will be sucked dry of blood and flesh by it. Chuan nodded, then waved his hand to call the waiter away. Hearing this, if there really is an evil demon in this land of fallen gods, why doesn't it come out? It is possible that it has been sealed, or it is possible that there is no evil demon at all. After all, no one who has entered the land of fallen gods has ever come out, and no one knows the truth of these things. System sign in. Chuan called out in his heart. Ding, congratulations to their host for successfully signing in at Samsara City and obtaining a sky-breaking talisman. Oh. Sky-breaking talisman. It can instantly transfer 100 kilometers. This thing is really good for saving lives. After drinking a pot of wine, I packed up and prepared to go to the place where the fallen gods fell. Now. In Shenyuan Palace, Mu Qingyang, who was practicing, suddenly felt her heart tighten. What's wrong? What's happening to me? Mu Qingyang was a little confused. Why do I suddenly feel so nervous? Chapter 27, The Empress is heartbroken and fights the evil demon. The place where the gods fell is 5 kilometers away from here, which is only 2 steps for him. The dark clone appeared beside Chuan and said slowly, The aura in here is very evil. You felt it too. Go in and take a look. Chuan said. Naturally, he also felt that evil aura. No wonder there were rumors that there was a terrible evil demon inside. Even the demon emperors of the demon sect could not match this aura. It was like the difference between an adult and a child. This place where the gods fell is actually not very big. It is just a small valley. At least it doesn't look very big from the outside. Jump down. Chuan and the dark clone landed on a flat ground in the valley. The ground was covered with skulls and the remains of countless monsters and humans. The strange thing is that there is no spiritual energy flowing in the air, only the pure smell of blood and evil spirit. But since there is no spiritual energy here, if there really is an evil demon, how did he practice? The deeper he went, the stronger the evil aura and the smell of blood became, and the quieter the sounds became, so that in the end, Chuan could even hear his own heartbeat. However, this road has come to an end. It looked like a mountain was blocking their way. And the evil energy completely disappeared when it reached this place, which made Chuan a little confused. Moreover, all along the way, there were remains of humans and monsters, but here, the ground was extremely clean, without even a stain of blood. It seems as if there is a dividing line, and here it becomes a pure land. And we haven't encountered any danger so far, it's actually too quiet. Someone, the dark clone, said suddenly. Huh. Chuan was a little confused. He didn't feel any breath of living people. The same aura as mine, the dark clone continued. With the same aura as the dark clone, this kind of person is either a top killer or a dark demon. Normally, only killers would learn shadow techniques and change their aura. In the place where the gods fell, the valley was very quiet, without a single sound. Bang! Bang! Sudden. There were two voices, and they sounded like heartbeats. And the mountain that had previously blocked their way suddenly disappeared. Turned into a black tombstone. Bang! Bang! The sound came again, and this time, Chuan heard it clearly. The sound came from the tombstone. Bang! A shriveled, thin hand stretched out from the ground in front of the tombstone. The hand was pure black, slender and shriveled, with nails several dozen centimeters long, and looked extremely scary. Arr! A shrill and unpleasant voice like wailing was heard. Chuan couldn't help but cover his ears. The sound made him feel a little nauseous. The dark clone was staring at the tombstone intently. Bang! A black figure jumped out from the ground. The owner of this shriveled and thin hand also appeared completely in front of Chuan. It's not quite like a human to say that this monster looks like a human. It has a human body, long arms and legs, huge and sharp ears, a mouth full of fangs, huge blood-red pupils, and most importantly, a pair of huge wings on its body. It looks like a bat, but has human-like body features. Arr! The monster screamed again, but this time, it was hurtful. Chuan and the dark clone were blown away dozens of meters. But he didn't sense any level of cultivation from this monster at all. The monster didn't stop either, and flapped its wings and rushed straight towards him and the dark clone. System sign in. Chuan then remembered to sign in. He had completed his mission in the land of fallen gods. Ding, congratulations to their host for completing the mission and successfully signing in at the land of fallen gods. Reward, the artifact dragon locking coffin and 100 years of cultivation. Integrating 100 years of cultivation. Ding, fusion successful. Bang. Chuan's aura exploded, and now he has reached the 4th level of the Emperor Realm. The dark clone followed closely behind and broke through to the 4th level of the Emperor Realm. 10,000 swords return to their origin. Darkness is annihilated. Chuan and the dark clone spoke at the same time. The two men attacked at the same time to block the monster's claw. However, Chuan also spat out a mouthful of blood, and this time he was not pretending. So strong? At this moment, Mu Qingyang, who was practicing in Shenyuan Palace, suddenly spat out a mouthful of bright red blood. What's wrong with me? How can there be any problem in training? Mu Qingyang just now had a bad feeling in her heart, and she felt a moment of heartache, which caused her practice to go wrong and she almost went astray. Stop practicing and rush to the temple. When I arrived at the temple, I saw the note left by Chuan again. Suddenly I realized something in my heart. Chuan asked me about the land of fallen gods, and also said that it was his friend who asked. This note said that he was doing something for a friend. Mu Qingyang murmured softly. Oh no. Chuan, you bastard, if anything happens, I will never forgive you. Mu Qingyang suddenly thought of something and roared, then disappeared on the spot. At the moment, Chuan in the land of fallen gods was not having an easy time. The monster's attack was too powerful, and each blow carried the aura of shadow. The dark clone was fortunate enough to absorb most of it, but he could not, and could only withstand every blow entirely. He also thought about escaping, but this land was suppressed by the monster and it was impossible to tear the void. No wonder no one who came in could escape. Oh right, the sky-breaking talisman. Chuan suddenly remembered the sky-breaking talisman he received when signing in, and he ignored all conditions and directly transferred to a place 100 kilometers away. But just as he was about to use the air-breaking talisman, the system's voice suddenly rang in his mind. Ding, a special mission is issued. Defeat the foreign evil demon and suppress it in the dragon-locking coffin. Grass. Chuan couldn't help but curse, suddenly issuing such a task. Damn it, Qianbaodan, I'm not afraid of you. Chuan swallowed the Qianbao pill in one gulp, his aura grew wildly, and his every move could cause strange phenomena in heaven and earth. 10,000 swords returned to their origin. The power of this sword has exceeded the imperial realm. The evil demon from outside the domain was also killed by this sword and screamed. R. R. The sound was still sharp and unpleasant, but there was no time to care about it. Chuan stepped forward with another sword. With this sword, the arm of the evil demon from outside the domain was cut off, and the blood that flowed out was actually black. The dark clone was not idle either. He instantly appeared behind the evil demon from outside the domain, turned his palm into a blade, and directly pierced the chest of the evil demon from outside the domain. Opportunity. Dragon locking coffin. Get out. At Chuan's command, a huge coffin carrying an ancient aura and a very evil aura appeared in front of the evil demon from outside the domain. When the evil demon saw the dragon locking coffin, he began to struggle frantically. R. R. The dark clone was slapped away by him. Although Chuan had the amplification effect of the sky explosion pill, the amplification effect could not be transferred to the dark clone. With this palm strike, he was naturally blown away. At this moment, the dragon locking coffin slowly opened. Chapter 28, The Empress's True Love, Lost Her Cultivation. The dark clone was blown to the ground 100 meters away, and Chuan began to suffer from the side effects of the sky explosion pill. The dragon locking coffin slowly opened its lid, and the blood-red eyes of the evil demon from outside the domain revealed fear. That's right, it's fear. The evil demon turned around and prepared to fly away but suddenly stopped in mid-air. His feet were tied with a huge chain. These are the chains extending from the dragon locking coffin. Suddenly, 4 more chains shot out from the dragon locking coffin, locking the limbs and neck of the extraterritorial demon. R. The evil demon from outside the domain struggled frantically, but to no avail. The chains began to retract, and the evil demon from outside the domain was pulled back. He did not stop roaring until he was completely submerged in the Luolong coffin, and the lid of the dragon locking coffin also slammed down heavily. The dragon locking coffin also flew into the air, returned to Chuan's body, and turned into a palm-sized box. Everything was just like it was back to the beginning. The entire fallen god land was silent and silent. The only sounds were the heartbeats of Chuan and Dark's clone. R. Chuan screamed in pain. This was a side effect of the Qianbao pill. The skin all over his body began to tear and his body could not bear the burden at all. You should prepare some healing pills when you go out. Look, this is what happens without any healing pills. Bang! A dull sound echoed in the valley, and Chuan's Danhai was shattered. Ding, their host's life is in danger. Their host's life is in danger. System automatic maintenance begins. This was the last voice Chuan heard. Suddenly, he appeared in the darkness. Looking at the nothingness in front of him, Chuan felt a little confused. Me? Is this dead? I couldn't see my own palm when I stretched out my hand. Everything in front of me was pitch black and I couldn't see anything at all. Damn it, I should have known not to let the system give me tasks. Chuan couldn't help but smile bitterly. He had only been in this world for a short time, but with the help of the system, he broke through to the Emperor realm in the shortest time. What should have been the script of the Chosen One was changed beyond recognition by himself. He has a wife at home who is as beautiful as an empress. He is a real winner in life, but he has messed up everything he has done. System. What will happen to you if I die? Chuan asked again. Ding, their host dies and the system will be destroyed. Chuan smiled bitterly and said, I'm sorry for causing you trouble. If I wasn't so arrogant, this wouldn't have happened. Suddenly, a light appeared in front of his eyes, and a perfect figure appeared. Wife. It seems that you are my only tie in this world. Chuan. Wake up. You said you would never lie to me again, so why did you lie to me again? Mu Qingyang ran towards him crying. Chuan was silent, not knowing how to start. I have lied to her again. Will she forgive me this time? But since I'm already dead, let him make up a lie in the end. Mu Qingyan's figure was getting closer and closer, until she appeared completely in front of Chuan. At this time, Mu Qingyan's face was full of tear marks, her eyes were already red from crying, and her voice was beginning to become hoarse from sobbing. Chuan, wake up quickly. Mu Qingyang burst into tears and hugged Chuan tightly. Honey, it's so real. Chuan felt the touch of Mu Qingyang hugging him, it was so real, just like the last time Mu Qingyang hugged her. Honey, I'm sorry, I lied to you again. Although you had no interest in me at the beginning, isn't our relationship developing in a good direction now? However, I can't be with you in the future. I'm sorry, honey. Seeing Mu Qingyan's tearful face, Chuan felt extremely heartbroken. He hated himself for not being strong enough and for being so arrogant. Would this have happened if it weren't for my own arrogance? Would this have happened if I wasn't strong enough? Mu Qingyan's tears wet Chuan's shoulders. It was such a real feeling. Chuan, wake up! Mu Qingyan roared loudly. With this shout, the darkness in front of Chuan's eyes suddenly brightened up, and he could see lights turning on one by one. Wife. When Chuan opened his eyes again, he found himself lying in a stone cave, and Mu Qingyan was sobbing on his chest. Chuan, you're awake. Mu Qingyang suddenly looked up. She heard Chuan's voice and thought it was an hallucination, but the eyes that Chuan slowly opened were real. Chuan was a little confused. Wasn't he in the land of fallen gods? Wasn't he dead? Why was he here? Am I still in the dream after death? Am I dead? Wife. Chuan said softly, but his throat was extremely painful. Great, you finally woke up, Chuan. Mu Qingyang did not answer him, but hugged him instead. Chuan was confused. What was going on? Was he not dead? Ding, this system protected the host's heart at the last moment, so the host was able to survive. At this time, the system voice sounded. When Chuan heard this voice, he realized that this was not a dream, but the system saved him. But no matter what, as long as she is still alive, it's fine. Looking at Mu Qingyang in his arms, Chuan smiled. Wife, how long have I been unconscious? Chuan felt distressed when he saw Mu Qingyang crying in front of him. It's already the 5th day. Mu Qingyang said while sobbing. 5 days ago, when she rushed to the land of the fallen god, she was horrified when she saw Chuan lying on the ground with not a single piece of healthy skin on his body. Moreover, Chuan's heart had stopped beating at that time, and he did not react at all after she gave Chuan the Emperor's Qi. It was then that she understood what heartache felt like. Chuan had left an indelible mark in her life. It was Chuan who made her experience the feeling of being loved, and it was Chuan who made her experience the feeling of family and love. It turned out to be 5 days. I didn't expect that I had been in a coma for 5 days. I felt my body and found that my tendons and veins were broken and my dantian exploded. If it weren't for the system and the super divine body, I would have been dead. Wife, where is this? Didn't we go back to Shenyuan Palace? Chuan asked. Mu Qingyang stood up and replied, I'm back. This is where I usually practice. Let's go back to the temple. Chuan sat up with difficulty. Mu Qingyang quickly stepped forward to support him, nodded and said, okay, let's go back. In this way, Mu Qingyang supported Chuan and flew towards the temple. Sure enough, my cultivation is gone. Chuan said in his heart. The Danhai was broken, and his cultivation was indeed gone. Now he was just an ordinary person. Looking at Mu Qingyang who was standing aside, Chuan couldn't help but shake his head. Chapter 29, Zhuqian Danhai, practicing again. It was a blessing in disguise that he survived the shattering of his Danhai and the breaking of his meridians. However, for a cultivator, not being able to practice was more painful than death. However, the super divine body is still there, and Danhai should be able to recover it. System, sign in. Chuan said silently in his heart. I wish the system could still sign in now. Ding, congratulations to the host for successfully signing in at the Empress realm of Shenyuan Palace, and the reward is the Supreme Danhai Zhuqian Danhai, and 50 years of cultivation. Hearing the voice of the system, Chuan couldn't help laughing in his heart. The system was really a timely help. If the Danhai was broken, it would send a Danhai. If there was no cultivation, it would send 50 years of cultivation. Wife, I don't have any cultivation now, I'm just an ordinary person, you won't despise me, right? Chuan said with a smile. So what if you don't have any cultivation? I am at the Emperor realm. I can give you energy to prolong your life. Don't do anything stupid. Mu Qingyang heard Chuan's words and spoke quickly. She was afraid that Chuan would do something stupid because of the loss of his cultivation. She naturally knew that Chuan's Danhai had been broken, and with the Danhai broken he could no longer absorb spiritual energy, and thus could not practice. Chuan didn't say anything, but made a decision silently in his heart. After returning to the temple, Chuan discovered that without any cultivation, he couldn't even refine the rejuvenation pill. It was really useless, all his alchemy skills were in vain. Chuan, I'll go find you some healing pills and herbs. You should have a good rest. Mu Qingyang said to Chuan. Wife, can you call me husband from now on? It's too unfamiliar to call me Chuan. Chuan looked at Mu Qingyang and smiled. Mu Qingyang's face flushed again, and she whispered, okay, husband. Then he ran out of the room shyly. Hee, my wife is so cute. Chuan smelled the lingering fragrance left by Mu Qingyang. System, merge the 9 heavens dan Si. Ding, fusing the 9 heavens dan Hai. The next second, Chuan's dan Hai was burning like a raging fire, madly ravaging his broken dan Hai. At this moment, his whole body was trembling, and sweat was dripping down in drops as big as soybeans. Pain. Extreme pain. Now that he has lost all his cultivation, he has no power to resist the burning force. He can only rely on willpower to fight against this terrible force. Soon, the burning pain in the Danhai gradually disappeared, and a Danhai several times larger than before slowly formed. Then the Danhai was divided into 2, 2 into 4, and 4 into 8. The 8 Danhai began to circle quietly. However, Chuan was a little confused. It was clearly the 9 heavens Dan Si, so why were there only 8 of them? Could it be a derivative? Although there seemed to be only 8 Danhais, these 8 Danhais are all derived from one Danhai. This 9th Danhai should be the Danhai that combines the 8 into 1. After running the Shenyuan code for 1 second, I didn't expect that I would break through to the first level of the Gangu realm. Chuan was stunned. These 9 Danhai can actually absorb spiritual energy at the same time. This means that his current cultivation speed is 9 times faster than before. This is truly a blessing in disguise. According to the current speed of cultivation, it is not difficult to return to the Emperor realm. He activated the Shenyuan code once again, and the 9 Danhai started to operate at the same time. Countless spiritual energy poured into his Danhai frantically. After a few breaths, he reached the second level of Gangu realm. Continue practicing, 2 hours have passed. The 9th level of muscle strengthening realm. I stopped practicing and felt the power filling my body. It turned out that practicing is the best way to do it. But now I can't even compare to my own apprentice. With Shina's talent, she should be reaching the peak of the Qi training realm now. System, integrating 50 years of cultivation. As soon as their words fell, a majestic aura rose wildly. First level of Qi training. The second level of Qi training. The 8th level of divine essence. After 50 years of cultivation, he directly broke through to the 8th level of the divine yuan. As expected, when the realm is low, 50 years of cultivation can still improve so much. If it is in the Emperor realm, he may not be able to break through even 1 level. Husband. A pleasant voice came at this time. My wife is back. Come, take a pill. This is a pill for repairing tendons and veins. Mu Qingyang fed a pill to his mouth. Wife, no need, my Danhai has recovered. Chuan said with a smile. Our Danhai has recovered. Mu Qingyang was a little bit unbelievable. You know, it is basically impossible for Danhai to recover. Unless you find a suitable and special Danhai to transfer, it cannot be recovered at all. Well, I had 2 Danhai before, and now 1 is broken, so I still have 1. Chuan could only make up an excuse to get away with it. He couldn't tell Mu Qingyang about the existence of the system. The system was his biggest secret. Before he became invincible in the world, he couldn't tell anyone about the system. That's great, husband. Mu Qingyang flew directly into Chuan's arms. 2 breaths passed before Mu Qingyang realized that she seemed a little too excited. Isn't this a bit too proactive? Will my husband be less fond of me? Mu Qingyang thought secretly in her heart. Chuan didn't expect that Mu Qingyang actually had such a little girl's side. It seemed that his wife was also silently making some changes. Wife, you are so nice. Chuan looked at Mu Qingyang and said affectionately. After hearing Chuan's words, Mu Qingyang felt a sweet feeling instantly surge in her heart, and she shyly buried her head in his arms. Who would have thought that the Skyfire Empress who looks down on the world has this side of her? Thinking back to the first time I met Mu Qingyang, that cold look was completely different from now. Wife, I can now practice again. Let me go to the Shenyuan secret realm again. Chuan said softly. Go ahead, no one dares to stop you now. You are the emperor. Mu Qingyang said coquettishly. Afterwards, the two of them started playing and joking in the room, and Mu Qingyang was also amused by Yunchuan and laughed all over the place. It was not until the evening that Yunchuan left the temple, but he was still full of energy. After all, the two of them did not do those things. When they reached the entrance of Shenyuan's secret realm, the guard saw Yunchuan and quickly bowed and said, "Greetings, Your Majesty the Emperor. No need to be so polite, I want to go in and practice for a while." Yunchuan scratched his head. "You are the Emperor, of course you can." After the guard finished speaking, he opened the secret realm and let Yunchuan in. After Yunchuan entered, he found a place, displayed his super divine body, and activated the 9 heavens down high at the same time, and directly began to practice the Shenyuan code. Spiritual energy rushed towards him frantically, at a speed that was 10 times faster than before. The entire Shenyuan palace began to become turbulent because of Yunchuan's cultivation. Mu Qingyan's eyes also showed unprecedented shock. This speed of cultivation was something that even the geniuses in that world had never achieved. The spiritual energy of the entire Shenyuan palace became thinner because of Yunchuan's practice. A night passed. He actually broke through to the 8th level of the Gi realm, breaking through 10 small realms in total.